Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Artemis was the godmother of Naruto. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Yorae Rasante and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. The woman was surrounded. And judging by the kind of people those were, they were not planning something that would be fun for her. That was a band of bandits, together with some runaway ninjas. Some of them clearly high level to anyone that could sense chakra, maybe even Jounin. But she wasn't worried. For one reason, she had no idea what that meant. She was new to the elemental countries, you see. For the other, she had yet to meet a mortal that could hurt her unless she let them. Well, lady, it seems like you are in trouble. Why don't you come with us? No thank you. I have my own business to take care of. She said it like they were no problem for her. Her dismissing tone clearly set them off though, the bandits getting furious. Well, we gave you a chance. Let's see how you like our fun now. The woman started feeling dirty with the man's hungry leer over her body. She would enjoy teaching them a lesson in respect. Oh, we are gonna have fun. Can I join? Sounded a happy female voice from a nearby tree. On top of the tree stood a woman with long red hair and a happy smile. The woman that made the ninjas in the group blanch on sight. It's the blood red habanero. One of them screamed and started trying to run away before being stopped by another. She is alone, idiot. The other said. She can't be that strong if the yellow flash is always with her. Now we can use her as a hostage and be known for defeating him. The outsider just blinked in confusion before looking at the red-haired woman, seeing her smile was really strained now. Yeah, you're right. Haha, bring it on, bit. The bandits had no idea what happened. Hell, most of the missing men had no idea either. 1 second they were looking at the woman in the tree, the next a red blur hit the talking man, making him vomit blood and threw him on at least 3 others. The outsider, meanwhile, just blinked. She had no idea mortals could move like that. Oh yes, she saw everything. That does not mean it was not a surprise. She saw a sai-like knife hitting the ground beside her, but it held no hostility, so she did not even react. She did jump in surprise when a man appeared in a yellow flash from it, though must be the one the bandits were talking about. He had spiky yellow hair, blue eyes, a pink apron and thermic gloves, holding a pot of some kind of hot soup and a stack of bowls. Fushi-chan. I brought you ramen. He said. In a minute Minato. The redhead replied. And if it was possible her attacks became even more ferocious. The outsider resisted the urge to shiver, it seemed that the woman still wasn't giving her all. She had a suspicion that if she did the men would not survive. Not that she cared if they did or not. After the battle, the two invited the outsider to dine with them. The man, Minato, seemed honorable but reserved. The woman, Kushina, was energetic and seemed overly happy. They both seemed to either trust her or dismiss her as a danger, though. And since she saw the woman fighting and the others seemed to think the man was the most dangerous of the two, she doubted it was the latter. So are you a samurai or something? Kushina asked, intruding on her thoughts. I mean, you move like you can fight, but I barely sense any chakra from you. My name is Artemis. I am a goddess, she said, awaiting the answer from her hosts. The common answers were disbelief or worship. Disbelief came in many flavors, from laughter to trying to take her to a mental hospital to asking for proof. Being asked which one as if it was normal to meet them was new, though. I am not a local goddess, my name is Artemis. I come from another land in search of an enemy that escaped here. Well, be careful not to mess with the local ones' business much. I only know the Shinigami personally due to my family being able to summon it, but I wouldn't want anyone as my enemy, said Kushina. But again, you are also one, so it may not be that big of a problem for you. Oh, so you know a local deity? Yes, we should go to the masked temple near Konoha, so you can ask him what you want to do. As long as you are not trying to mess with their business there shouldn't be any problem. Oh okay, good idea, Artemis said, totally out of her depth. She looked at Minato only to see him staring at her, as if racking his brain for something. Something wrong? Oh, I'm sorry, Minato apologized. But, are you a goddess of nature? I'm still learning sage mode, but I can feel a lot of nature energy coming from you. Yes, in a way. In my land I am the goddess of the hunt, the animals, the wilderness, the moon, the chastity and sort of childbirth. Did you say childbirth? Artemis resisted the urge to jump back from the look Kushina was giving her. Barely. There was worship, then there was looking at her like she was her personal savior. I'm sorry for that, said Minato, but Artemis couldn't avoid looking at her eyes. There was a battle incident, Kushina can't have children anymore and her dream was of us having a child. Even Tsunade, the best doctor of the elemental nations, could not heal me but you. I am not sure if I can. We are going to get you permission right now. Kushina said, grabbing Artemis in her arms and running away with her in a direction Artemis hoped was this masked temple. Then she blinked as a flash appeared beside her and Minato joined the run. Kushina. Minato, Horatian to temple. Now. Yes dear. In the end, it wasn't that Artemis didn't have permission, although the Shinigami was amused enough when it was asked, but because she never did it before. She was a childbirth goddess because she helped her brother be born, but never actually made anyone pregnant with divine power. Kushina's answer of there being always a first time didn't fill her with confidence. Okay, I will try. But I want to make it clear, I have no idea what may happen to the child. It may be a third god or something. We are ready. Kushina said, seriously. We are ready, Kushina interrupted Minato, who wisely decided to keep quiet from then on. Artemis shrugged and put her hands on Kushina's belly. It glowed silver for a while before the glow was absorbed by the mortal woman. Kushina could feel the energy. It was not healing her, but blessing her womb. It is done. From now on, you will get pregnant as long as you don't use protection, and your pregnancy and birthing will be easier than most, Artemis declared, seriously. Only to be attacked by a hugging Kushina crying thank you repeatedly. You don't look happy, though, Minato said, a bit worried. Well, I am a goddess of chastity too. This just feels wrong for me. Minato just nodded. What could you be said to that? It would be like the Shinigami acting as an akature. Wait, Kushina opened her eyes suddenly. You said from now on. Minato's eyes widened as the Redeed turned to him with a hungry look in hers. With a resigned sigh, he pointed to a room nearby. Artemis, this is our guest room. Do not worry, I will activate silent seals so you don't hear anything as long as Kushina doesn't break the wall again. No promises, sang the woman as she carried the man to their own room. Artemis just looked, unsure of her own opinions about what just happened. Artemis visited Konoha, more specifically spent time with Kushina and Minato, for almost 3 months. Well, more like she was kidnapped at night by a still grateful Kushina and a resigned Minato. She was the first one they told of the pregnancy. She was there for their secret marriage. She was there when they chose that pig as the godfather, a title that made her snort because he had been like a second father to Minato. She was still surprised when a smiling Kushina held herself back from laughing when she asked her to be his godmother. You do know that I am sort of his third parent, right? Kushina nodded. And you remember that I'm a goddess, right? Another nod. So. It's the perfect title, isn't it? No one not in the known would figure out. Artemis sighed. Kushina, my hunt is almost over and I'll soon have to go back to my land. I won't be able to meet Naruto when he is born. But you can come visit us later, right? Then you'll be able to see him. That was the hard part to explain. There is a decree that forbids gods of my land to interact for long with their children. We can see them from time to time, but it is limited. I do not know if this will apply to Naruto, but if it does. I will try to convince my father to make an exception, she said to the saddened Kushina, but I won't be able to meet him until he manifests any powers I gave him either way. It usually happens when the child is around 12 years. Kushina was still sad, but nodded. Well, guess he will have to live with only stories for a while. Of a wonderful woman that helped his parents be able to get him born. Well, this is it. This is goodbye for now. Only Kushina, Minato and Tsunade were there. Of the people who knew of Artemis' identity, the only ones missing were the third Hokage and Jiraiya, since the Hokage was acting in Minato's place while he was there in Jiraiya. Well, Artemis didn't get along with him. The reason the old Hokage and the two Sannin knew was that they were friends with the couple, and the only ones that knew Tsunade considered Kushina unable to have children. So they were forced to explain it. Tsunade was very curious about her brother Apollo, but unfortunately for her brother it was purely in a medical point of view, as he was the medicine patron. You promised to come back. I told you guys, I will come when little Naruto is ready, so just wait for me, okay? 12 years it may not be much for you, but for us it will be a lot. She then hugged the goddess. Artemis hugged back. She hoped that when she returned to the elemental nations the couple would be there waiting for her. Unfortunately, her instinct said otherwise, and as the goddess of the hunt she learned to trust them, she was not going to say it, but she knew this would be goodbye. Kushina then drew a surprised Minato in the hug, and Artemis, despite her usual distrust of men, hugged him too. He had proven himself a loyal, wise and worthy person. He would be a great leader. Already was. She then let go and opened the passage back. She looked back and with a smile and a wave went through it, never letting her gaze leave the two. She really hoped she was wrong. That when she returned they would be there, waiting for her. Sometimes, Artemis hated being right. She arrived and went to Konoha as soon as she was allowed. She had to see them to convince herself she had been wrong. She failed. Minato and Kushina died the very day Naruto was born. By way of giant monster. Monster that was sealed in Naruto, giving him a terrible childhood. And now she was in a hospital room, together with Tsunade and Jiraiya, looking at the healing Naruto who was defeated in battle with a traitor he was trying to rescue. "Why the cat though?" she asked, looking right at a calico cat sitting beside the boy. "That is Ace," Tsunade replied, with a bit of surprise. Artemis was not in the mood, so just looked at her instead of asking for her to tell more. "Wait, it wasn't you that gave him the Palico summon contract?" Jiraiya asked, surprised. "I only know what a summon contract is because his father told me he signed yours, how could I give him any?" Yorae rubbed his eyes, frustrated. "Well, there goes that theory." Artemis was the one confused this time. "When I made him sign the toad contract, he told me he could feel 3 chakras, his normal one, a red one that we believe is of the beast sealed inside him, and a silver one. Using the silver one to summon we got Ace there, and a summon contract to Palicos since they are supposedly hunter helpers, and the region they reverse summon him to is called the hunting grounds, where he can't use his chakra for anything more than sealing scrolls, so he has to trust his skills and instincts to survive, with a hunter's guild as the closest thing he could tell of a government. We were pretty sure you were somehow the one that gave him the contract." "I can certainly see why you'd think so, maybe my domain affected him enough for him to be able to summon them when he used the powers he got from me," Artemis agreed, looking at the sleeping boy. He couldn't see the eyes, but the hair was clearly Minato's, while the face was pure Kushina save for the whisker birthmarks. "So, what will you do now that you met him?" Tsunade asked, a bit worried for Naruto. "He is of age to learn to use his powers. If he agrees, I am taking him to Camp Half-Blood so Chiron can't teach him. Either way, I am telling him everything." "You can't." Jiraiya interrupted. "He is not mature enough to deal with it. And I already am taking him in a training trip." That was the wrong thing to say. Artemis turned around, putting a hunting knife under Jiraiya's chin so fast even the Tusanin barely saw her move. "From what you told me he saved the village from a giant being that could destroy it easily, helped convince the new leader to accept her position, and is currently lying in that bed because someone he trusted and risked his life to save turned out to be a traitor. Age is not the same as maturity. And who gave you the authority to take him on this training trip?" Tsunade looked at you surprised, so she clearly did not. "I am his godfather, it is my right to. And I'm his godmother, and I say he can go only if he agrees to go. If you were going to pull the godfather card, why did you leave him alone for 12 years? You already know I was only allowed to come now, and I didn't know what happened to his parents until minutes ago. And don't come with using your spy network or his father's enemies as an excuse. You could have just visited from time to time, and I can think of excuses for why from the top of my head, and I've only been here for less than half an hour. And why would he agree to go with you? He has no idea who you are. Well, I've trained him for months. Because I've not kept any secret from him nor pretended to be a stranger, and you did not deny anything I said, even though you should have noticed he has been only pretending to sleep ever since we arrived." Jiraiya's eyes widened, and he looked to the bed, meeting with Naruto's open eyes filled with sorrow and betrayal. Unable to stand them, he left the room. The eyes then moved to Tsunade. "I thought you were ready, but sensei had said he would only tell you if you made Chunin. Jiraiya asked me to let him tell you when he thought you were ready instead, since he is your godfather. So, it is true he is my godfather, but he just left me and, acting as if he didn't even know me, then I had to convince him to help me." Tsunade cringed. She knew the theatrics were because Jiraiya was mostly ashamed of being away for so long and couldn't make himself face Naruto, but not only Artemis only saw the worst of him until now, meaning no help from her, Jiraiya's shame shutting him up made him seem like a manipulative bastard. And if she tried to defend him, Naruto would see it as taking his side. "I will try to beat some sense into him, bring him back to see what he has to say in his defense." "Well, I do it, why don't you two talk Artemis, before you tell him about his parents, why don't you tell him about yourself?" That said, she left them alone, ready to do her best to make Jiraiya try to apologize, with her fists if needed. The two stood silent, Naruto wanting to listen, Artemis not knowing what to say. "So you said you had a reason for not coming back until now?" Naruto tried asking. "Yes. You see, my father made a rule after a war. I was not allowed to meet you until now. Since I am from outside the elemental nations, and well, I respect him despite everything wrong he did sometimes, I wasn't just able to come visit you in secret either." Naruto nodded. "That was an understandable reason. Now is the part you may not believe I am not human." Naruto blinked. "Excuse me? I am more like the beings you from here refer to as kami. In my land, I am known as the goddess of the hunt, animals, wilderness, moon, chastity and childbirth. You're kami. My land's equivalent to one." Naruto just looked at her in disbelief for a bit. "Oh, I am sorry, it's a bit much to take," he said when he noticed he was just staring at her. "Well, you sure are taking your time, but that's normal. Your parents accepting it outright were the weird ones. So you met my parents? Yes. I am the goddess of the hunt, so I came here hunting something, it doesn't matter what anymore. Your parents arrived when some bandits wanted to attack me, not knowing what I am. Your mother had been damaged in the womb and couldn't have children, so I blessed her. She didn't take no for becoming her friend after that. Really? So if they didn't meet you I may have never been born. Maybe. She could still get pregnant, but the chances were very low. I made the chance certain. But there's always a but. Naruto sighed. By blessing the womb, it became both a part of your mother and mine. So you do not have two parents, you have three. Making me your godmother was just a pun Kushina made. Naruto's mind was reeling. He didn't care that it wasn't normal to have three parents, he had a living one. And Kushina, that was his mom's name. That's so, if you are also my parent, wouldn't that make me an exception to your father's rule? You being my son is the reason for my father's rule not letting me visit Naruto. Being the child of a god gives someone powers beyond normal humans, and that means you could be either a hero or a villain. There was a big war among half-gods, supposedly to impress their parents, and so my father made a rule limiting the contact between gods and their children. They couldn't meet until the child was able to use their godly powers, and even then only for a bit. Wouldn't that make them, us, more likely to try to impress them, though? Well, it is more a punishment on the parent than on the children, due to not being able to control their progeny, but the children are explained why it is so as soon as they are told what they are. This supposedly discourages them to trying a repeat so they aren't punished even more. Naruto nodded in understanding. A bit bitter that a bunch of people ruined it for everyone though. There is a place where I come from made to teach people with divine progeny how to use their powers. That Camp Half-Blood place. Yes. Demigods like you go there to learn how to use their powers and, hopefully, become heroes. But if you do not want to go there, I will not force you. Naruto thought for a bit. I really want to become Hokage, Artemis-sama. At first to be recognized, but now to protect those precious to me. If you think these godly powers would help me do that, then I would be glad to do so. Great. Now, we just need to figure out a way to take you there and back. I used my divine powers to come here and could do the same to take you there, but then I'd have to bring you back myself. I can do it, said Ace the cat. Artemis blinked. Not because the cat was speaking, even if she couldn't speak with animals she knew summons could speak, but because of what he was saying. Excuse me? Well, I and him are summon partners, so I can open a portal between here and other places. I need to have been there though, and it takes time. It's how I take him to the hunting grounds. Oh, perfect then, she said. Speaking of that place, could you take me there one of these days? As I said, I am the goddess of the hunt, so with a name like that. Sure, but will you be able to use your powers there? I can't even use chakra, replied Naruto. I don't use my powers when hunting myself. I try to go with my skills with a bow and hunting knives. I use a glaive myself, Naruto replied happily, but I always wanted to try using a bow. But I'd need special armor for that, since long and short distance fighters use different kinds of armor there. Hey, we could make a team. I heard the teams can be made of up to 4 people there. That would be nice, Artemis said, while petting Ace. Hey, want to sign the Palico contract? From how Ace is acting to you, I think they'd be happy to join you. Well, animals is one of my domains, but sure, a Palico to send me there by myself would let me go even when we are apart. Naruto looked at her surprised, then looked down. Ah, right. Won't be able to see each other much. Well, who knows? If the hunting grounds is out of Olympus's reach. Naruto replied with a mischievous smile that was obviously inherited from Kushina. Can you use chakra? It is sort of needed. Your parents taught me. That reminded Naruto that Artemis knew his other 2 parents. Here you go, he said, summoning the contract as if it was a palico. You sign it on your blood, then cover your hand in a bit of it and mark it besides your name. Artemis raised her eyebrow but did as told, cutting her hand with a hunting knife and writing her name and making a handprint with itcher. Then followed Naruto's instructions and summoned her own palico. It was pure white and her tail had some turns making it lightning shaped. She also had a black paw print mark on her chest. Selene? Naruto asked. The already named Selene looked at Naruto and raised her hand in compliment but soon looked back at Artemis. Artemis herself was holding herself back from smirking. Really, her palico is named Selene of all names. Alright, Selene, this is Artemis, your new summoner. Artemis, this is Selene. She is a bit inexperienced, but everyone is at the beginning. Do you mind holding back until I can go with you before leaving for the hunting grounds? I'd like to introduce you to my friends. No problem. So, anything more you'd like to talk about? Artemis saw Naruto struggling to remain calm. I'd like to know about my other parents, he finally asked. Naruto was quiet. Artemis had left for a bit and he was thinking about what he learned. His father was the fourth Hokage. He put the Kyuubi inside him not because he was an orphan or because he had just been born, but because he was his orphan. His mother was the hot red habanero and, more importantly, the previous host of the Kyuubi. And the only way for the Kyuubi to be in him was if she had died, since losing it would have killed her. Which meant that the Kyuubi did not just attack the village, but was released there. Artemis doubted it escaped during his birth since his mom had her blessing, so it was enemy action. A knock on the door. Naruto asked them to enter, but soon regretted it. It was Tsunade with Yorae. Look, before you say anything, Tsunade interrupted him before he even opened his mouth, we already know you'll probably be going to that camp. This is not to try to change your mind. This is because you deserve an explanation and Yorae will give you one whether he like it or not. Put on the spot, the man breathed deeply. I am a completely irresponsible person and I know it, so I dumped you in sensei's lap under the excuse that he would be a better caretaker for you than I could ever be. I soon regretted it, but I was too ashamed of facing you after doing that. That's why I made the whole defeating your trainer and convince you to ask me for training thing. I could not in good conscience just turn to you and admit my faults. I know I got no right to call myself your godfather. I just hope that, someday, you could give me a chance to redeem myself. Naruto didn't say something for a bit, letting Jiraiya fill himself with dread. I am not sure how long I will stay at the camp, he finally said. If by the time it is over I already forgave you, then I will be able to stay with you until the camp's next turn. If I do go to train with you, as long as I want to I'll go back to the camp as soon as it opens for the year. This is non-negotiable. Jiraiya just nodded. That went better than he hoped. The following week Naruto was finally released from the hospital, but there was still a week before the camp was open for the summer. Thus, he took Artemis on a tour through the hunting grounds. She, they figured out as soon as they arrived, could use her divine powers there, even stronger than usual even, but it would not be as satisfying to hunt using them here. First things first, he took her to meet his friends of the Capital C Caravan. The Caravaneer quickly warmed up to her, telling her of the tale when Naruto risked his life to rescue his hat. He gave her the nickname of Friendly Archer after she told him her specialty. The man and Little Miss Forge, being the first ones of their kind she met, were seen with curiosity, but the respect she showed for their art of making equipment from monster remains for hunting more powerful monsters got her a rare smile from the quiet, Wyverian. The Guildmer man the Wakun made her take a step back though. The girl was a little too taken with the monsters for her tastes, and the smaller Wyverian gave a vibe that he should not be crossed. He seemed trustworthy as long as it was business related though, seemed that it was his point of pride. The cook completed the team. A Chinese-speaking cat and he cooked great to boot. But the second step was to register herself in the Hunters Guild and, as much as she was talented, she was the goddess of the hunt, she began on the bottom step of the ladder. Don't worry, I'm sure you'll prove yourself soon and go from rank 1 to G rank 3 in a flash. I have no idea what a G rank is yet, but thanks. It's no problem, she declared after a bit. I am a bit too used to being considered the best hunter, but now I'll have challenges and a competition. I'll just have to show them what I am really made of, and is that hunter using a Japanese schoolgirl uniform as armor? I have no idea what that is, but high-level hunters are as eccentric as high-level ninjas, so just pretend it never happened, okay? Artemis just sighed as she passed a hunter with a palico dressed as Super Mario. As Naruto predicted, Artemis just flew throughout the ranks on that week. Soon she would surpass him, not that he was feeling any inferior since she was the goddess of hunting. Some situations were just bizarre though. You can't kill it. It is a capture mission. Naruto said, trying his best to hold back an Artemis that was almost using her divine powers. That thing farted on me. That thing is a Kongolala. It farts on everyone. But by the end of the week they returned to Konoha happy. But also a bit apprehensive. Naruto was going to leave the following day. The next morning, he went everywhere looking for his friends. He just couldn't find them. It was a sad Naruto that went to the village gates with Artemis. It was a tearful but happy Naruto that went through them after saying goodbye to everyone that had been at the gates just waiting for him. Now on the road, though, Artemis had to have a talk she had been dreading for a while. Naruto, about the camp. I know, you won't be able to be with me, right? Artemis nodded. I'd also like you to pretend you don't know you are related to me yet. He stopped and looked at her, confused. You are the closest thing to a child of my own I ever had. And since I swore myself to remain chaste, every other one I'll ever have will be like you too. And since you swore to remain chaste and no one else was born with just a divine third, people would think I'm either a liar or special and may resent me. Well, yes. That and I have a group of followers that I train myself, but with two exceptions they have always been female and have to remain chaste. Since you wish to have a family someday, you can't join us. And let's just say they are not well liked by the campers. They sort of have a rivalry. Naruto nodded. Oh, one more thing. There they speak another language, so you'll need to wear this pendant my sister made for me. It should let you understand and speak any language and learn it to use even without it after a while. The fox shape was supposed to be a joke about your mother. I understand. Don't worry, now I know that the fox is a link I have with her. Artemis nodded. I also asked Hephaestus to make these for you after finding out you had the man make your weapons from monster remains. When you activate them, any weapon you are holding becomes imbued with your divine energy and become the same as if made of celestial bronze, making them more efficient against monsters from there, but also make mortals unable to be hurt by them. Wait, how does this work? Monsters there are supernatural beings, unlike the ones of the hunting grounds. Celestial bronze only affects the supernatural. That's why it is so strong against monsters, gods and demigods, but does not affect mortals. Naruto nodded. I will leave you at the entrance to the camp. Do your best, Doodle. I will Teamy, he answered with a grin. And thus they separated, Artemis going back to her hunters and Naruto going to meet the camp half-blood and his new destiny. It's like I have 3 chakras. 3? The old hermit asked the boy, surprised. Yes, I can feel them as colors. 1 yellow, 1 red and 1 silver. When Naruto arrived, it was raining hard. The warm water hit his skin heavily. But he wasn't worried about the rain. He was more worried about the giant bullman that he just saw dissolving a woman. After figuring out that there were 2 more people there, he quickly summoned Ace, who was with the scroll with his equipment. Before the cat could even figure out what was happening, the ninja took the scroll from him. Protect the 2 kids while I find my glaive. The cat just saluted, jumping on top of the monster. Percy Jackson was in grief, scared and angry, but he had a plan to survive. It was pretty simple, the Minotaur was a bull, so he would do like in the cartoons, using his red raincoat to make it run into him and jump aside just before being hit, making the monster hit a tree and become dizzy instead. There were only 2 problems with that plan. First problem, the Minotaur was smarter than he thought, opening its arms to avoid him jumping to the sides. The second wasn't exactly a problem, I mean who would expect a big cat jumping on the head of the monster and using the horns to guide it to a different tree. The impact made its horn break, falling right by Percy's feet, but the cat quickly jumped away just as a kid a little older than him cut its arm off with a blade on a giant stick. Percy got angry. Thar Beast killed his mom and almost killed Grover, and here he was while another person and a cat fought it. He grabbed the horn, and while the other kid jumped back to avoid a swipe from the beast, he jumped on its back and stabbed it with the horn in the back of the neck. The monster started to trash around, trying to pry Percy off, until eventually the boy was hit by the arm and thrown into a tree. The other kid that he now noticed was blonde and wearing orange clothes, grabbed him, but it was still enough force in that arm to hurt him a lot. The last thing he saw before passing out was the Minotaur dissolving in sand. Naruto felt a bit useless as he put the glaive back in the scroll. For all the monsters he fought in the hunting grounds without chakra, right when he fights one in this new world he forgets he can use it now. The boy didn't seem to be hurt much, maybe 1 or 2 broken ribs. Grabbing the piece of horn, it was the boy's by right, he put him and the other boy over his shoulders and carried them to the closest place he could see, a passage through a strawberry field. He didn't bat an eyelid when the field gave place to a camp. He was more worried for the boys than surprised. How is he? Asked Naruto, surprising the girl that was taking care of the black-haired boy. He is better, should wake up in a few days good as new. Good. That's good, Naruto said absent-mindedly, then sighed. Stop blaming yourself. He could have been much worse if not for you. I could have been faster. If I hadn't forgot to use my powers. Annabeth sighed. That's what we are here for. To avoid mistakes such as these. Take it as a learning experience. You're right. If I am feeling bad, I can only imagine how Shikamaru felt, yet he got up and was ready to go back to work. Naruto said, pumped up. Annabeth had no idea what he meant, but at least he wasn't wallowing in self-deprecation. By the way, I am Uzumaki Naruto. Wait, Naruto Uzumaki, I forgot you used the personal name first around here. I'm Annabeth Chase. Welcome to Camp Half-Blood, Naruto. Excuse me, came a voice from the door and a man in a wheelchair entered the infirmary. My name is Chiron. I am the activities director here at the camp. Could you come with me so we could talk with the camp director? With a stiff nod, Naruto followed the man until he reached a table where a man with a chubby face and a tiger-striped shirt was drinking a can of Diet Coke. Naruto, this is Mr. D. Mr. D, this is Naruto Uzumaki. A pleasure, Nagato, Mr. D drawled before taking a sip from his Coke. Naruto just raised an eyebrow. The pleasure is mine, Dories. Mr. D almost spit his Coke. Naruto, show the director some respect, please. Naruto shrugged, still eyeing Mr. D with a glint of mischief in his eyes. I'm sorry Denny's. Naruto, behave. Chiron warned. I should turn you into a nevermind. Welcome to Camp Half-Blood. There, that's my part done. Chiron, deal with him quickly, see we can play. With Naruto dismissed, Mr. D started shuffling a deck of cards. What are you going to play? Naruto asked, curious. You talk a lot. Naruto just shrugged. How much do you know about the camp, Naruto? Chiron asked, trying to calm everyone, mostly Mr. D. I only know that I have some kind of divine blood and I'll be taught how to use my powers here, he answered. Chiron nodded. Now, do you have any idea which is your divine parent? I'm not sure, Timmy only told me to come. Said I would learn to use my powers here. It was not exactly a lie, he had no way to say what Artemis was to him after all. Timmy? Mr. D asked, with a raised eyebrow. It wasn't your remaining mother or father? Chiron asked again, like Mr. D he was confused by him using her name. I'm an orphan. She is an old friend of the family that figured out I had divine blood and got me sent here. Timmy is a nickname our friend Sophia gave her, she's Timmy and I'm Doodle. I see. And what is her real name? I'd rather not say, Naruto answered, looking down and making his best to look sheepish. She told me that names have power when you have divine blood. Understandable, Chiron said. He couldn't blame the kid for trying to protect his friend. But he was curious. Yet, you gave yours away easily, Mr. D pointed out. It is mine to give. Timmy's isn't. Well, as I said, welcome to Camp Half-Blood, where demigods like you are made into heroes and yada yada. Now go have your tour with Chiron, Mr. D said, now uninterested again. Naruto shrugged. Fair enough. See you, Doris. Chiron just shook his head, wondering if Naruto would be so daring if he knew who Mr. D was. He was sure he wouldn't act like that if this Timmy had warned him. He was, of course, wrong. Naruto was actually a bit saddened that the god of parties and madness wasn't more cheerful. Are you sure you want to stay here? Chiron asked. Yes, I am. I think he would be happy to have someone with him after what happened and I kind of feel responsible. Look at it this way, when we join the camp it will be in one day instead of having to do the presentations twice. Chiron nodded. Then he gave him the books. And here you go, some books on Greek mythology to pass your time. You know, most campers would dislike the studying, but you don't have the silver eyes of the son of Athena. Oh, it's not studying, it's information gathering. Someone once told me that information can be more valuable than gold and had the scars to prove it, he added in his mind. It will be a bit boring, he shrugged, but unlike normal history, not knowing this can bite me later so. Chiron smiled. That kid seemed to have some experience already. Very well. As soon as Percy wakes up I will have someone give you two a tour. Rest well. Naruto waved his hand to the leaving man before sighing. As he said, knowing Greek mythology would definitely be important, especially while in the camp where everyone both knew was related to or even was them. It didn't mean he had to like it. He didn't bother asking how he knew Percy's name. As far as he knew, they probably already knew each other. Annabeth apparently didn't give Naruto much credit since she thought he didn't notice her asking him about something that was stolen and something about summer solstice. Her loss. It was while another boy named Grover was the one nursing Percy that he finally woke up. By that point they knew he was going to do it soon, so the three were in a veranda waiting for him. For now, he decided that discretion was the best thing to do. Percy seemed to be wanting it all to be a dream, and Naruto could understand since from what they said the woman that died when he arrived was his mother. Then Grover handed Percy the Minotaur horn. Why does it have a leather handle? Percy asked, confused. That would be my fault, answered Naruto, finally approaching with Ace by his side. Naruto Uzumaki. Well, you were able to defeat a monster with it, so I thought you'd like it to be turned into a weapon. We already know it works. He smiled as warmingly as he could, trying to calm the boy down. Percy Jackson, wait. You're the one who saved me. Percy said when he turned to him, eyes wide. Well, considering I missed and you didn't, then he threw you away while trashing and disappeared before he could hurt me, I'd say it was more like the other way around. But your cat. Oh, Ace did help you, Naruto agreed. But that's Ace, and I'm me. Then the Mino. Try to avoid saying names. Never heard of those monsters that are summoned by calling them? Percy's eyes widened. They are real too. No idea, Naruto answered with a shrug, but if Bullhead is, who else could be? Then, my mom. Was caught by Bullboy and disappeared in a flash of light, Naruto nodded. Percy quickly looked away, saddened. Grover started apologizing for being a bad satyr for not protecting them well enough. He was a guardian, Naruto supposed that was a kind of demigod bodyguard. Percy suddenly felt weak, so he and Grover made him drink his cup of nectar. When he started feeling well enough, the other two took him to Mr. D and Chiron, where they were playing cards while Annabeth watched. Yo Chiron, Dories. Nancy, was all that Mr. D said, before scowling at seeing that Naruto was grinning at him. Mr. Brunner? Percy asked, confused. Ah, Naruto, Percy, welcome. Now we have enough people for a game of Pinochle. Well, I never played it, but I was told I learn fast, said Naruto. Well, card games at least. Percy sat beside Mr. D, who promptly told him his required line to get it over with, while Chiron introduced Annabeth to Percy and asked her to take care of the bed of the two newcomers in cabin 11. The girl proceeded to demolish any chances Percy could have had of impressing her with his kill by mentioning that he drools before leaving. While Percy talked to Chiron about his double life as Mr. Brunner, a Latin teacher at Percy's old school, Naruto had no idea what Latin was, he'd have to ask someone later. Naruto learned how to play from Grover. The game went like that, with Naruto playing pretty well under Grover's teachings, and Percy, Chiron and Mr. D talking about the camp until Chiron said they learned about the gods in his Latin classes. Why would you teach the Greek gods in Latin classes? He asked. Well, it is true that Latin is the old Roman language, so that's what Latin was. Naruto wondered if Chiron knew he didn't know, but the gods are mostly the same, just under different names. Sometimes, like in Heracles' case, they are even known more by their Roman names. His attention left the conversation again. He got the gist of it, that Chiron was trying to explain the deities were real. Until Percy started angering Mr. D by insisting that he didn't believe in gods despite everything that happened to him making no sense otherwise. Percy, I don't believe in aliens either, but if a flying saucer appeared and offered me a ride, I'd at least be willing to give their existence a thought. Percy looked at him as if asking what that had to do with anything. Greek gods are your aliens and the flying saucer rammed into you just the other night. Hell, you stabbed it in the back with its own horn. Percy looked at him, confused. Well dude. He is the proof. Ah. Good work, Nanaya, if he kept insisting I'd be tempted to show him more than enough proof. Mr. D then summoned a goblet of wine, that under Chiron's reminder he wasn't allowed to drink it, he promptly turned into a new can of Diet Coke and apologized to the sky. Percy was open-mouthed. Naruto was confused. Why can't he of all people drink wine? Everyone looked at him, surprised. What? Chiron was the first to recover from the shock. Mr. D was forbidden by his father as punishment. He went after a wood nymph that was off-limits. Percy was finally making the connection, so Naruto clinched at asking what he really wanted to know. Is that why this is not a big months-long party? Yes, Mr. D said. I can go to them, but I can't make them. You're Dionysius. Percy said. The god of wine. And parties and madness. Can't forget the parties and madness, Naruto added. Everyone forgets the parties and madness, Mr. D complained. Everyone always thinks of me as just a wine god. Your god. Percy insisted, as if affronted that Mr. D of all people would be one. Mr. D just looked in his eyes. Okay, I think I can see it now. I think I won, said Naruto, counting his points. Sorry child, I was the one to win. But it was a good go for a first-timer. I'm tired, Mr. D finally said. He then called Grover for them to have a talk and reminded the two demigods they had to go to cabin 11. Percy got worried for Grover, and Chiron's attempt at relieving him gave them the info that the land of the gods, despite still being called Mount Olympus, was not the one of the same name in the country of Italy, but a secret area and a building called Empire State after going through many other countries. All this talk only reinforced to Naruto that he had to learn about this new world just as much as he had about the hunting grounds. Maybe more. Percy seemed more overwhelmed. He asked what they were. For Naruto, they were just normal people with an important parent. So they got a few gifts from them, they weren't that special in the elemental nations. Okay, not exactly common, but not that special either. The way Chiron answered those seemed at first like he took it as a philosophical question, acting as if their future wasn't clear to anyone, but Naruto got the feeling he expected something from the other kid. Just a hunch, though. Then he changed the topic. He talked about how they would make new friends and of the different things they'd have to eat for dinner. Then he walked out of his wheelchair. As in, walked out, not stood up. Horse legs came from inside the wheelchair, as if there was a secret chamber in there. I thought it was a title, was all Naruto could say. You know, since you didn't look part horse before. No, child, I am the real deal. And thus Chiron asked them to follow him. They did so, but Naruto noticed Percy seemed a little afraid of staying behind the centaur. While walking, they couldn't fail to notice that people were staring at them or rather, at Percy and his amazing horn. No wonder the boy got embarrassed and started looking at the lodge. And saw something moving near the top. Percy asked Chiron who lived there and the answer chilled Naruto to the bone. Did you put emphasis on living on purpose? Naruto asked, hoping that the answer was no. Unfortunately Chiron just gave him a patronizing smile Naruto could tell was fake. Naruto could not pay total attention to anything right now. Not the strawberry fields, not the talk about the satyr and his botched protection job. Until Percy asked if the underworld was real. And Chiron's confirmation that it was. Wait. Does that mean that GG go? Not exactly, interrupted Chiron, already imagining what he was asking. Well, I can't say if there are actual ghosts, but the ones in the underworld are spirits exactly where you go when you pass on, while ghosts are spirits that did not pass on. Naruto nodded nervously. That was not exactly comforting, but at least if someone who was so knowledgeable of myths and monsters that were real couldn't say they existed, chances were they didn't. Not 100%, but that'd have to do for now. Now, there are supplies in the woods if you wish to try your luck, but go armed. Sure, Naruto answered, always anyway. Chiron raised his eyebrow at this, but didn't ask. Supplies of what? Armed with what? Percy asked, confused. You'll see. The Capture the Flag games are on Friday. Do you have your own sword and shield? My own. Percy started to ask, but was interrupted by Naruto. I do, but I'm better with a glaive. Didn't use them much, to be honest. That's acceptable too. I'm surprised you have to be honest. Percy, I think a number 5 should suit you. I'll take you to the armory later. They kept going through the camp, Percy pensive all the while. They walked near the archery range, the lake for canoeing, the stables. Chiron wasn't very happy with them. Naruto noticed that some of the horses had wings. A dart launching line, an amphitheater and an arena for weapons training. Naruto wondered if they'd fight only each other or monster too. The basic training in the hunting grounds put you against a great Jaggi to give in-field experience, after all. But Chiron quickly told them it was mostly inter-house challenges and non-lethal most of the time. No monsters then. And, finally, the mess room, well, mess field. Also called dining pavilion. Surrounded by Greek columns and with a sight of the sea, it gave a feeling of being surrounded by nature's beauty. And, as Percy pointed out, with a lack of walls and roof. Could be a problem if it rained, but Chiron actually looked at them weird for mentioning that. And there was a big brazier made of bronze with a big flame and a dozen stone tables with white cloth with purple trim. From the way Chiron talked earlier, he thought that was where the tour would end, but, proving it was just an excuse to change the subject earlier, he took them to the cabins next. They were built in an U shape, with the ones at the top being the biggest and the left side clearly for the gods, while the right was for the goddesses. Cabins 1 and 2, despite being the biggest and more cared for, seemed also to be empty. They seemed more like giant marble mausoleums than cabins, the left one bigger, but the right one more refined. Cabin 3 was mostly sea stone, decorated with seashells and pieces of coral. For some reason, it fascinated Percy besides the beauty. It was also empty. Cabin 4, on its turn, was really in nature, with living grass roof and plants growing on the walls. Cabin 5 was painted poorly in red, with a boar head as decoration and barbed wire on the roof. It seemed like the people there didn't care enough to fix the painting, though. Cabin 6 was gray, with white curtains and an owl design over the door. It gave more the feel of a library than a cabin. Cabin 7 seemed to be made of gold and was really reflexive. Cabin 8, Timmy's cabin, on its turn, seemed to be made of silver. Something told him it would shine just as bright at night, though. Cabin 9 had some extra chimneys and the walls seemed made of brick. And for some reason it reminded him of the man's stall. Cabin 10 was the opposite of 5, being extremely decorated and well painted. It seemed more like the outside of a furniture store than a cabin to Naruto, if not for the smell of perfume he could smell even from far away. Cabin 11, the one that they would stay at, seemed badly conserved to him, with the paint peeling. It had a symbol Naruto saw in pharmacies over the door and seemed full of people. And finally Cabin 12, the only male one on the right side, seemed surrounded with grapevines. Between them were a bunch of statues, fountains, flowers. It was like a small park. In the middle was a stone area with a bonfire and a little girl playing with it. Percy finally seemed to ask if Chiron was the Chiron, and the centaur confirmed and said that he would be immortal as long as he was needed to teach. Percy then asked if being a teacher for so long was boring. The answer was no, just depressing. Sometimes Naruto could see it. Despite giving hell to his teachers, Iruka-sensei really seemed to like to teach and he had fun when teaching Konohamaru. Then Percy put his foot in his mouth by asking why it could be depressing. Naruto felt like slapping his own face, or maybe Percy's. Either or. Percy, think like this. You are immortal. You teach people. The people you teach are not immortal. They grow old. They die. You stay. Like in the Highlander movies. Percy asked what he asked, finally sinking. Maybe. Never watched them. Percy followed them, a little depressed now, as Chiron took them to Cabin 11. Annabeth was there, reading a book in yet another language. Naruto could feel the amulet trying to translate it for him, but since Percy seemed not to understand what it said he thought it'd be too suspicious to know. Chiron then asked Annabeth to complete the tour since he had archery classes to give right now. But first told them to make themselves at home at Cabin 11. Naruto didn't pay much more attention at the state of the place. He did not start paying attention to his own home until he started taking missions to take care of the home of others, but he did notice that there were more people than beds. While Percy fell down on his face, something Naruto learned to avoid instinctively due to his pran training, Annabeth presented them to the cabin. Everyone groaned when told they were still unclaimed until one of them said that was why they were there. Naruto was sure the guy must be an adult already by his appearance, or near that. He was tall and muscled, with short sand-colored hair and a scar beneath his right eye. Annabeth presented him as Luke, their counselor for now. Luke himself explained that they would be in cabin 11 until they were claimed, since Hermes was patron of travelers. Naruto liked Luke. He reminded him a bit of Kabuto before he revealed being a traitor. Percy then asked when they would be claimed and the guys at the cabin started laughing. Naruto resisted making an angry face at them, but saw Annabeth pulling Percy outside. So, Naruto asked coldly as soon as Annabeth started telling Percy to try harder, what is so fun, or so embarrassing to you, about the new guy not knowing things that were not explained? It's not like that, Annabeth tried to answer, but Naruto cut her again. It is. He asked when he would be claimed, they laughed and you pulled him aside not to explain, but to scold him. Why not tell him just that everyone is different and some even aren't? Why act as if he was stupid just for not knowing something? You clearly know. I had someone explain it to me. Something you and Luke should have been doing for Percy. Yeah, Percy recovered enough to enter the conversation. All I know is that I fought a bull dude. Don't say it like that. Annabeth interrupted, angry. Do you know how many in the camp would have liked to have that chance? Of nearly dying? Percy asked, confused. Or of losing their remaining relative in front of their eyes while powerless to do anything? Naruto asked calmly, but his anger was clear in his voice. Annabeth flinched. For what we have been training for. And what have you been training for? Annabeth couldn't look in Naruto's eyes. Let me make one thing clear, Annabeth Chase. I did not come here for glory. I did not come here to be praised as a hero for killing monsters. I came here to learn how to use my godly powers. I came here to have the power to protect my loved ones and hopefully avoid as many people ending up as Percy's mom did as possible. Annabeth winced as if slapped. Naruto then turned to Percy. And you, any question? Ah yes. That thing I fought, was it really? Yes. The real deal? Yup. I was told it respawns after some time. Percy blinked. Like in video games. Yup. They die but come back after a while. No one knows how long though. So, if let's say I killed one with a sword. It will come back later. But unlike in video games, it will remember you and be pissed. Joy, and let me guess, just like with Bullman, I can't even know the name of what I pissed off. Naruto shrugged. I just started getting really invested in Greek mythology. In my land we worship the Shinto gods. Different gods, different monsters. I suggest asking Miss Foot in Mouth. Annoyed by the nickname, Annabeth complied. Your math teacher was one we call kindly once. They are the servants of the god of the underworld. Percy did the math. Do you mean a fur? Naruto quickly covered his mouth. Percy, we already talked about this. Sorry. Percy then thought a bit more. Why are we all at cabin 11? I mean, there are so many empty ones. Ah, that's because you go to the cabin of the deity you are a descendant of. Sons and daughters are called half-bloods, while grandchildren are called legacies. 11 is special because you can go there until being claimed. So you are saying either my mom or my father had divine blood. More like your father or your mom would have brought you here earlier. You can only enter here if you have it. I see it's a bit hard to believe. Yeah, I know. Timmy told me that most demigods have what was it ACDC and die something. ADHD and dyslexia. ADHD is your battle reflexes and paying attention to all the details, and dyslexia is because your brain is hardwired to read ancient Greek, helped Annabeth. You can also eat ambrosia and nectar. That drink you were taking earlier. It can help heal, but if you take too much or are immortal, you die painfully, Naruto added. Percy gulped. Their talk was interrupted by a female voice. Oh look, newbies. It was a tall and muscled girl that Naruto thought he saw in cabin 5, accompanied by 3 others. The new girl, Claris, started fighting verbally with Annabeth. Something about a spear. There was a curse in Greek somewhere there, but with his pendant Naruto understood it anyway. Who are the shorties? Claris then asked, making Naruto narrow his eyes. He had a little of a problem with his height ever since Tazuna teased him about it. Percy Jackson and Naruto Uzumaki, Annabeth answered, pointing out each of them. Do you make a habit to present people that have just being insulted, or you just agree with her? Annabeth rolled her eyes. Do you make a habit of taking everything as an insult? Nah, your know-it-all attitude just annoys me. Wow, I can feel the tension from here, Clara said in a teasing tone. Annabeth spluttered trying to deny it, while Naruto just rolled his eyes. Just finished the introductions, he said in an annoyed tone. This is Claris, daughter of Aries. Percy blinked. Like, the god of war. You got a problem with that? Claris asked, angry. Nah, he is just a bit slow for now. Still getting used to the whole monsters and gods existing thing. Clarice looked at the two, annoyed. Percy looked back defiantly, while Naruto looked at her like if he was dealing with an annoying kid. We have an initiation for newcomers. Can it be later? We are kinda in the middle of a tour, Naruto drawled, doing his best to act as Shikamaru. Clarice growled and advanced on him. She had less of a second to notice his bored expression change into a mischievous smile before she was thrown above him and ended up face up on the floor. Oh, a spar. Naruto said happily, I'm always up for one. Clarice stood up, still growling, before taking a deep breath. So, were you the one to defeat the Minotaur? Nah, I fought it a bit, cut his arm and all, but Percy there gave the fatal strike. Clarice looked at Percy as if not believing it, but couldn't just call Naruto a liar. Well, I'm going to save it for the capture the flag game. See you there, Uzumaki. She then left with her 3 friends. Sisters. Naruto was curious now. Annabeth looked at Naruto as if seeing a new side of him. But that distraction done, she pointed more places to them, like the forge. Naruto could give it a try later with the weakest monster materials, it would be far inferior than the man's work, but you can only learn by trying after all, the arts room and the climbing walls. It supposedly shook, threw rocks and lava, and even hit each other if someone took too long. Soon they were back by the lake and Annabeth was more than ready to leave for her own training. She did tell them when dinner was, though. This is crazy, Percy finally released. What is crazy? This place. The whole half-god thing. Myths and legends being real. You know, if you told me that a year ago I would have agreed with you, Naruto said, surprising Percy. You would? Was that when you met your friend? No. It was when I met Orochimaru. A bastard obsessed with immortality who found a way to put his soul in the body of others. Never heard of a monster with this name. That's because he isn't. Didn't I say before? Monsters respawn. They are what is called archetypes, so when they die they come back just like before. They are already immortal. Orochimaru is human. Or as close of human as something like that can be. That's hard to believe. I know. But I met the guy. Before and after an old man friend of mine died trying to cut off his arms by summoning the god of death. Well, it was the Shinigami, but the Nados was the closest equivalent in Greek mythology. He hoped the guy didn't mind. And you met the Minotaur. You fought it. Sorry for bringing it up, but you lost someone to it. I know it is hard to accept, but the sooner you do, the sooner you can accept the rest too. I wonder how. I, related to a god. Annabeth couldn't keep quiet after that. Child of one. The camp only accepts demigods, not legacies. Naruto sighed in annoyance as Percy looked at her angrily. My father is dead. Your father was forced to leave due to the laws. What? Why? To discourage them of having demigods, Naruto answered, looking at the lake. Someone underwater waved to him, so he waved back. They used to have a lot, so the laws are to try to make them keep it in their pants. Crude way to put it, Annabeth complained. But true. Every kid here is a half-god. Percy asked. The official term is demigod. Or half-blood, corrected Annabeth. So, who is your divine parent, Naruto corrected. I am a daughter of Athena. Then you should learn from your mom and think more before speaking. Annabeth looked annoyed at Naruto. Just saying, he shrugged. At least Percy isn't supposed to be wise. What is that supposed to mean? They both asked angrily. It means that you need a lot of growing up before you can become a teacher. I mean, seriously, you've been expecting Percy here to just believe you and accept everything you say, and if he doesn't you act all annoyed he is new here. No one explained anything to him. He didn't even see the movie. He came in here blind, and you are acting as if he was supposed to have memorized the manual. Annabeth winced. I may have been a bit too critic. Percy took a deep breath. Okay, so my father was a god. And I have to wait until I am claimed before finding out who he is, but some never are what is being claimed, anyway. They send a sign. From what I was told, it is a floating symbol over your head, Naruto said. Percy took a deep breath, letting it all sink in. This sucks. And I have to stay here forever? If you aren't too powerful, you can stay here only in the summer, the monsters can ignore you. I'm staying with Timmy most of the time, so she can help me. But some are too powerful, and the monsters can find them easily after they are old enough to use their powers, Naruto said. So the monsters can't enter here. Not unless intentionally stalked in the woods or specially summoned by someone on the inside, Annabeth explained. Why would someone summon a monster? Practice fights. Practical jokes. Practical jokes. Naruto agreed, most times sending a monster was a bit too much for a practical joke. Good thing it was possible to train against monsters though. The point is, the borders are sealed to keep mortals and monsters out. From the outside, mortals look into the valley and see nothing unusual, just a strawberry farm. So you're a year-rounder? Percy asked, and Annabeth nodded. She pulled a leather necklace from the inside of her shirt with 5 different beads and a gold ring. I've been here since I was 7. Every August, on the last day of summer session, you get a bead for surviving another year. I've been here longer than most of the counselors, and they're all in college. Why did you come so young? Percy asked. None of your business, she answered seriously. They were silent for a bit. So I could just walk out of here right now if I wanted to. From what I was told it is against the rules unless you are allowed though, said Naruto, looking at Annabeth. It would be suicide, but you could, with Mr. D's or Chiron's permission. But they wouldn't give permission until the end of the summer session unless. Unless? Percy asked, but Naruto was also looking at her curiously. You were granted a quest. But that hardly ever happens. The last time she started saying, but her voice trailed off. Not like we would be given one yet anyway, Naruto said. We just got here, we are far from able to use our powers to fight properly. They stood quiet for a bit, but Percy was curious about something. Back in the sick room, when you were feeding me that stuff. Ambrosia, both of the others said. Yeah. You asked me something about the summer solstice. I remember that, Naruto said. You were trying to hide you were asking him those things. And why didn't you say anything? She asked, her eyebrow twitching at being caught. Naruto shrugged, didn't sound like anything important. Annabeth turned to Percy. So you do know something? Why do you think he does? He had just arrived and had no idea that gods even existed. He may be just curious since you asked him about it while he was awake. Also, back at my old school, I overheard Grover and Chiron talking about it. Grover mentioned the summer solstice. He said something like we didn't have much time because of the deadline. What did that mean? I wish I knew, Annabeth answered, fists clenched. Chiron and the satyrs, they know, but they won't tell me. Something is wrong in Olympus, something pretty major. Last time I was there, everything seemed so normal. You've been to Olympus? Percy asked, surprised. Some of us year-rounders, Luke and Clarice and I and a few others, we took a field trip during winter solstice. That's when the gods have their big annual council. But how did you get there? The Long Island Railroad, of course. You get off at Penn Station. Empire State Building, special elevator to the 600th floor. You are a New Yorker, right? Oh, sure. Yep, pretty reasonable. Everyone in New York knows where to find Olympus, Naruto snarked. Right after we visited, Annabeth continued, ignoring Naruto, the weather got weird, as if the gods had started fighting. A couple of times since, I've overheard satyrs talking. The best I can figure out is that something important was stolen. And if it isn't returned by summer solstice, there's going to be trouble. When you came, I was hoping Athena can get along with just about anybody, except for Aries. And of course she's got the rivalry with Poseidon. But, aside from that, I thought we could work together. I thought you might know something. Letting Annabeth muttering by herself about being able to help if she got a quest, Naruto guided Percy to cabin 11 so they could go have dinner. There, they both sat down at their designated places until Luke arrived with a sleeping bag and some toiletries. He started talking with Percy about how almost no one there believed in gods before arriving, but learns to accept it, but that also doesn't make anything easier. About his father, Hermes. It was being a better talk than most of the introduction until now. And of course, the reason Annabeth was so critic of Percy. Seems like ever since Luke failed a quest they have stopped giving them and she'd been waiting for someone prophesized to make the next quest, thinking every new camper must be it. Naruto frowned at that. He really didn't believe in prophecies, but it did explain her behavior. The horn sounded, calling them for dinner. All but the tables for the 3 bigger cabins and Timmy's had someone. Naruto saw also that he was right, Timmy's cabin was starting to reflect the moonlight. Many supernatural beings started appearing, more satyrs coming from the woods, nymphs coming from the trees, and naiads from the lake. The one Naruto waved to earlier waved again, and he answered with a smile. To the gods. Everyone said, raising their glasses, and nymphs arrived with all kinds of foods. A bit disappointed by the lack of ramen, but used to it since the street cook didn't know how to make it and the Ichiricus refused to sell him the recipe, he asked his glass for red bean soup like Luke told them to. And then the time for the offering. Naruto took a deep breath and since not everyone was saying out loud the name of their god, he thought he could escape with it if he just thought it. Artemis. He then threw a piece of well-done meat for her. It was practically golden, the way she liked it. Then he threw another piece to Hermes, just as thanks for letting him stay in his cabin for now. After they were done, Chiron stomped to get their attention. Mr. D stood up. Apparently the next capture the flag game was that Friday, with cabin 5 holding something called laurels. That is our trophy, Luke explained. Oh. Personally I could care less, but congratulations, said Mr. D. Also I should tell you that we have new campers today. Nancy Usagi and Peter Johnson. Tyron said something to him and he quickly corrected to, "Oh right, Naruto Uzumaki and Percy Jackson, whatever. Love you too, Dories," Naruto said. Some people laughed, others held their breaths. When it was clear Naruto would not be put in a bottle, everyone clapped. They then went to the amphitheater where the children of Apollo began to play some music Naruto never heard before. They were certainly better than the one Sasuke tried to make in their password in the Chunin exams though. "Hey, not that I don't appreciate it, but can't I just camp outside?" Naruto asked Luke. "No, sorry. The harpies that watch the place at night would attack you." With a sigh, Naruto sat down. He was pretty sure he could take care of them, but if he was to use his chakra, he wouldn't need to be there to learn how to use his divine energy, right? "So, you don't have enough control with the yellow chakra to summon the big ones, and you can't draw the red chakra properly. Let's see, what can we do to make you draw the red one easier? What about the silver one?" Yorae shook his head. "We have no idea what the silver one could do. I'd rather not risk it. But the red one is the fox's." Yorae sighed, then nodded. It seemed to Naruto like he knew something about it, but why wouldn't he tell him then? "Alright, you have one chance to summon with the silver chakra. Let's see what you get." Naruto complied, quickly making the hand signs, but doing his best to draw on the silver chakra this time. As the smoke disappeared, he was disappointed for a second for the summon being small, despite him putting as much silver chakra as he could. Then he froze. That was not a toad. That was furry, with a tail, pointed ears and vertical eyes. He would call it a cat if it weren't for the armor. And the fact he was standing up, pointing a lance to him. "Name's Ace, the Ace Palico. Are you my new minion?" "Whoa, I feel so weak," Naruto said as he reached out of the tunnel Ace dug. It seemed short, but on the other side they were surrounded by a field. "It is because we can't use chakra here, it seems," replied Jiraiya as he climbed up and pulled Naruto. "We are trained to use our chakra to reinforce our bodies, but we can't do that here. This is perfect. If we can work on the basics here, you will be much better where you can use it." "We better register him as a hunter first though," said Ace as he jumped out and the tunnel closed. "I heard the gathering hall was moved to Valhaber, but I can't take us there since I never visited it before. Got us as close as I can. We will have to take a sandboat there." Jiraiya nodded. "I need to talk to Sensei about this. Ace, I am putting responsibility for him in your hands. Do not worry. I would be a lousy master if I let my minions get hurt." The week went easily for Naruto. In the mornings, they studied ancient Greek. Naruto felt like he was cheating, using the pendant Annabeth's mom made, but he didn't know enough English yet to study it the normal way. He was pretty good at archery, about as good as the children of Apollo. Which got their attention, making them think he may be their brother. His blonde hair and blue eyes didn't help. He had to resist using chakra, but his hunting experience taught him how to run well without it too. Combat was where he shone though. While others were still slow and left openings, his time training against his clones to defeat Neji gave him knowledge of his own strengths and weaknesses and how to take advantage of them. His gardening hobby was taken to the limit and beyond, working in the fields, but still had no visible supernatural ability there. He still saw it as relaxing though, and engaged in small talk here and there with some children of Demeter and Castor and Pollux, the children of Mr. D. His forging skills were abysmal, though. Canoeing was not that great either. All in all, everyone though he was either a son of Apollo or Aries. Percy was banking on Aries since he knew he used a glaive but got along with Naruto much better than the Aries kids. Naruto wondered sometimes if Sasuke was the son of Nemesis with him being so lost in his revenge plans, but shrugged it away. As much as he called him a bastard, from what he heard his mom would castrate his father if he ever had an affair. Friday night arrived and with it the first game of Capture the Flag. Annabeth entered the pavilion with a silk banner, grey with an owl and olive tree symbol, after dinner was over. Claris followed with a red one with a boar and spear symbol. Naruto wondered if starting the game now was wise. Some kids were new and didn't know how much food was too much before exercises, and it was nighttime. Yes, those were good simulations for bad case scenarios, but at least the newer or younger kids should have had more training, maybe kept out of this one. Percy was wondering if it was always Athena and Aries, and Luke said that it was not always, but usual. Made sense to Naruto, they were the rival gods of warfare after all. Athena's cabin made an alliance with Apollo and Hermes, giving them the strength in numbers. Aries had everyone else. Naruto analyzed what he knew of them. Dionysius's children were good athletes, made sense since their father was once a hero. Demeters had some control of nature not unlike Mokuton, but were pacific, wouldn't be able to use it to their full potential. Aphrodites weren't warriors, but could prove themselves a distraction. Hephaestus were big and strong, but slow in running and not much of fighters. Aries' kids were the real problem. Tyron hit the ground with his hoof to get their attention. "Heroes," he called, and Naruto's mood fell. He was reminded that these people were there to be heroes, to be remembered for their actions instead of who they were. Worst thing is, he once thought just like them before meeting Haku and Zabuza. Unknown to him, Dionysius noticed a dip in his mood that single word caused and started looking at him curiously. You know the rules. The creek is the boundary. The entire forest is fair game. All magic items allowed. Banner must be prominently displayed and have no more than 2 guards. Prisoners may be disarmed but not bound or gagged. No killing or maiming allowed. I will be the referee and battle medic. Arm yourselves. He spread his arms and the tables were covered with equipment. Naruto ignored it and unlocked his bone staff. The insect glaive may be allowed, but he'd rather not poison the other campers. As he wore his Zamtrio set, he noticed he was being watched. Is something wrong? He asked, worried. No, nothing. It's just Percy trailed off, unsure of what to say. How did you get an awesome armor like that? Asked one of the Stoll brothers. And where were you keeping it? Asked the other. Oh, it was made by a friend with the remains of a few monsters I fought, Naruto explained, not saying that the monsters in the hunting ground and of the myths they fought were very different. I keep them in my scroll, it is an old art from my land. I think only I can unlock it here in the camp. Well, not really. Due to not being able to use chakra in the hunting grounds, Jiraiya gave him a modified storage seal scroll. He could unlock the weapons with his blood too. So anyone with a bit of his blood could also unlock them. It was a more expensive storage seal, often used just in case the owner isn't able to use enough chakra to unlock a normal one. Thinking about Jiraiya gave Naruto a pang of betrayal. He understood his reasons, but couldn't forgive him just yet. The armor was an ice blue and covered Naruto completely, even his face. The glaive seemed like a long thin bone with a big one in the tips, like long maces. But Naruto pressed a trigger and one of the tips released a blade, like a giant switchblade. I'll leave the kinsect for later, Naruto nodded to himself. Everyone was left wondering what a kinsect was. Well, at least they have the right colors, Luke said, wearing his bronze helmet with blue horsehair plume. But how would you fight monsters if the weapon isn't made of celestial bronze? Oh, I got these, Naruto answered, removing the gauntlet from one hand to show one of the small chains he was using as bracelet. If I activate them, any weapon works just like a celestial bronze one for a bit. Oh, said Luke, looking at the bracelet. That's a powerful magic item. Didn't know we could have something that powerful, actually. Well, it is fueled by my own energy and not by the gods, so I need to keep it turned off most of the time. But besides that, yeah, it can be pretty powerful if used well. Wouldn't that make it a hindrance then? Nah, I can take it, Naruto says. Wait, if you don't know your godly parent, how do you have these? Timi gave them to me. So, it was this Timi's and not yours. Naruto shrugged, letting Luke think whatever he wanted. All those questions made him think Luke may be a bit envious. Before Luke could ask anything else, Annabeth yelled for the blue team to move. Naruto quickly followed Percy as he approached Annabeth. He was beginning to think he may have a crush on her despite the way she acted towards him. Not that he had much room to talk, since he liked Sakura. What's the plan? Percy asked. Got any magical items you could loan me? Just watch Clarissa's spear. You don't want to touch it. Otherwise don't worry. We'll take Aries' banner. Has Luke given you your jobs? Border Patrol, Naruto says in a bored tone. Whatever that means, Percy adds. It's easy. Stand by the creek, keep the Reds away. Leave the rest to me. Athena always has a plan. They walked some more and left Naruto and Percy next to a small creek before scattering in the trees. Some time after they left, Naruto finally said something. They think we are idiots. No offense, you just don't know enough yet, but I do. They are using us as bait so whoever they choose may take the flag. Bait? Percy asked, eyes wide. Yup. Remember she mentioned Clarissa's spear and said we wouldn't need to worry about anything else. She probably think Claris is angry I showed her up and is trying to put us here so we get her attention. It also helps that we don't get in the way of whatever plan they have. Percy looked down, that made an horrible amount of sense. Well, I won't let them use me. Stay here if you want. I'll take that flag and show both sides who I really am. But she said. I don't care. Athena's kids may have their plans, but no plan survives the enemy. To win, you also need to improvise. And guess what I do best? As soon as they heard the horn he crossed the field at high speeds and climbed a tree, and despite his bright blue armor, Percy lost all sight of him from then on. What the hell is he doing? Someone said. That was not the plan. Did no one tell him what to do? Percy saw another person go past him into enemy territory and finally understood what Naruto said. They were thrown out of the way. And in Clarissa's path. He then heard a canine growl nearby but couldn't see anything. He raised his shield until he felt whatever growled walking away. Then, the other side exploded as 5 Aries' kids charged him. Wait. Or so they did for a bit until Claris called them. Where's Uzumaki? Percy eyed her spear, red light covering the tip before recovering his spear. I don't know. He knew you would come for him, so he left. Ah, the coward ran away from me. Percy's eyes narrowed, angry for the closest thing to a friend he made in the camp yet. He didn't run away, he just refused to be used as bait in such an obvious trap. Trap? What do you then? Claris's eyes widened. It's a trick. They are going for the flag. Quick, let's go back. Percy could only watch as the 5 reached the woods just as Luke came back out with the red banner, a surprised expression on his face. The 5 bull rushed him, falling on the ground and throwing him back into a tree, but he kept enough spirit to hold the flag. Claris was about to hit him with the spear when something appeared out of nowhere. Or at least that's what it seemed when something ice blue came from the dark green leaves to hit Claris on the chest with his feet. Before anyone could figure out what happened, Naruto was already holding Luke over the shoulder and running back to their side of the creek. The red banner turned to silver, Chiron came out and blew a horn declaring the winners, and Naruto dropped Luke unceremoniously before taking his helmet off, a serious look on his face. Annabeth then appeared out of nowhere removing a Yankees cap, an angry scowl of her own. You didn't do your job. You were supposed to guard the creek. Does it matter? We won just like you wanted, he answered with a smile. Luke was hurt. He wouldn't be if you had been doing your job. My job of being hurt in his place? He asked sweetly. Annabeth blanched. Just be honest. Me and Percy were just being used as sacrifices. Our mission was not really to guard the creek but to draw their attention to us. Else you would have put more experienced fighters here and some children of Apollo taking care from a distance instead of just the 2 greenhorns. Sacrifices need to be made. If you really thought that, you would have told us our mission outright. Instead, you tried to trick us, Naruto said in a cold tone. No one was cheering anymore. Even the opponent seemed a bit stunned. This may be a game, but we are people, not pieces. I cannot speak for the Hermes cabin, but I refuse to work with you guys until I am able to trust you again. If next game my cabin and yours are allies, I refuse to join. He then turned around and started walking away. Only to stop as a silver light started shining on top of his head. Artemis sighed as she watched the ending of the Capture the Flag game. After all that happened in the elemental nations, Naruto seemed to take what the children of Athena did as a personal insult. But she couldn't blame him. If one of her hunters made a plan like that, using a newer one as a bait, a scolding would be the least of their problems. As Naruto walked away, she reached a decision. It would give him some problems, but at least he would be away from the others' judging eyes for the night. She snapped her fingers and her symbol appeared above his head. Then she noticed something wrong. Before Naruto could check what was above him, however, he heard a growl and felt the urge to grab his glaive. And if there is one thing he learned is to trust these instincts. The howl that followed and Chiron asking someone to give him his bow also helped know that was not a normal sound. Above the rocks nearby was a dog the size of Uranopoulos, but by the size of the fangs he could say it wasn't herbivorous like them. It also had red glowing eyes. Can't forget the red glowing eyes. It jumped, not at Naruto, but at Percy. Naruto didn't care that he wasn't supposed to use chakra, he pumped it on his legs and threw himself at Percy, throwing him at the creek while the dog passed harmlessly over them. But the dog was focused on Percy for some reason and slashed at his chest, going through the armor like paper and cutting the boy deeply. Angry at himself for being too slow once again, Naruto jumped on top of the dog and began stabbing with a hunting knife, activating the bracelet on that arm. The knife went through the beast just as easily as its claws went through Percy, something that sickened Naruto, but he knew he had to stop it before it did the same to anyone else, so he kept stabbing until the beast fell down. Someone get him an ambrosia, some nectar, anything. He screamed as he left the downed dog. He didn't bother carving it, he was more worried trying to find a way to save Percy. Oh wait. He had some potions. And honey. It would be a bit rushed, but it may be enough to save him. He was stopped from grabbing his scroll by a hand on his shoulder, though. Looking to the side, he saw it was Annabeth pointing at Percy. It was with relief that Naruto noticed Percy's chest healing itself. But why? Then Naruto noticed the green trident above Percy's head. My father? Percy asked weakly. All hail Percy Jackson, son of Poseidon! Exclaimed Chiron. And all hail Naruto Uzumaki, son of Artemis! Everyone was silent. Figures. Someone from Athena's cabin exclaimed and Naruto answered by flipping them the bird. What was that? Naruto asked when he finally found his voice back. It was Poseidon's symbol, claiming Percy as his son, Annabeth explained. Not that, Naruto said, waving his hand at Percy dismissively, that. He exclaimed, pointing at the fading body of the giant dog. That's a hellhound from the fields of punishment, but they aren't supposed to be here. Someone summoned it, Chiron declared. Someone inside the camp. It was Uzumaki. Claris's voice was heard. It ignored him when it attacked. He must have been the one to call for it. I can only summon cats and toads, Naruto said dismissively. And I barely use the toads. Everyone blinked. That was not the answer they were expecting. And did you summon any of them, child? Chiron asked, trying to understand what was going on. Nope. Even left Ace in the Hermes cabin. I see, could you come with me for now, Naruto? I'd like us to have a talk with Mr. D. Sure, Naruto shrugged. If Timmy felt it was okay to reveal who he was, he had nothing to hide anymore. Maybe. He was sure he was forgetting something important. So, you lied to us. You lied to me, even already knowing what I could do to you, Mr. D said, a bit angry. Not really. It was more half-truths than lies. A half-truth is a full lie, Naruto, Chiron chided him. Naruto shrugged. It's what I was taught. Mr. D sighed. He was losing sleep for that. Alright then, Naruto, Chiron asked, why did you lie about your divine parent? I didn't. You asked if I knew which was my divine parent. As Timmy became my third parent with godly magic, but I also had actual mother and father, we have no idea which name we'd give her. How does that work? Mr. D asked, curious. Not sure. Goddess of childbirth blessed my mother's womb, so when I was born I sort of was part her, but also part the others. I think I'm more of a third blood than half blood, if that is possible. This is giving me a headache. You're telling me. Besides learning about gods being real, I learned about a different set of gods, and one of them is a type of parent I never heard happening before. So, Chiron tried putting the conversation back on track, Timmy is Artemis's nickname. So whenever you mention her, you were actually talking about Artemis. Yup. But how did she teach you so much? Only Mr. D has permission to be with his children for so long, and that's because he works in the camp. My cat summons, the Palicos, are from somewhere out of Olympus's reach. Well, we are there, the laws don't apply. Are you saying Artemis, Sirius and rules following Artemis, deliberately used a loophole for you? Mr. D asked, obviously not calm. Well, Chiron said reasonably, he isn't being turned into a jackalope, so chances are that he is telling the truth, as hard as it is to believe. What's a jackalope? Naruto asked, confused. A rabbit with reindeer horns, Mr. D said. But that's not the point. Well, Timmy told me she once had 2 other males as her hunters, she only didn't ask me to join because she knew I wanted a family in the future and hunters must be celibate. I think she would have done the same for any of her hunters. You're not a hunter, though. Yeah, I'm not a hunter of Artemis. But I am also Artemis's son, just like they are her daughters. She may be neither my mom or dad, but she is still my godly parent. Mr. D was nursing his head as if to get rid of a headache. Chiron seemed to be resisting doing the same. My mom made her also my godmother officially, if that makes it any easier. Is there anything you also avoided telling us? Mr. D asked in an angry tone that made Naruto gulp. I have a translation necklace and bracelets that were made by Athena and Hephaestus, so they may know already. Besides that, I don't think there is anything else. Oh wait, I have an evil 9-tailed fox sealed inside me. A 9-tailed fox? Asked Mr. D, a bit confused. An evil 9-tailed fox. And what can it do if it gets free? Chiron asked, apprehensive. Well, if it is freed it can be a problem, but as far as I know no one in this land knows how to do it but myself. If I do free it I die, and if I die in any other way it goes with me, so. Mr. D nodded. It didn't sound like much of a problem. After all, from the stories 9-tailed foxes were powerful but were more known for their smarts than raw power, how much of a problem could it be? The mighty 9-tailed demon fox watched the proceedings, annoyed. Let's see if he would help him recover when he needed him later. The worst part was that it was pretty sure its container was actually sincere and completely forgot it was there. Being dismissed, Naruto wandered the camp for a bit. His things save for Ace were already with him and a scroll, after all. As he went back to the cabins though, something was different. Is that my house on capital C? There was a copy of his trailer sitting beside cabin 8. Curious, he approached the trailer and there he saw the word doodle written above the entrance. Now knowing it was his, he entered calmly. Inside were Ace in his armor, Calico the healer, and the 3 other Palicos he kept with him instead of in Sun Snug Island. And, just like in the outside, a perfect replica of his trailer. I take it things didn't go well? Ace asked as he rested his back to the wall. They tried using us as bait, but didn't even have the guts to tell us that. I didn't take it very well. Ace just nodded. In the middle of the bed there was a letter from Artemis. Doodle. I must admit, that was earlier than I had planned to claim you. But your actions forced my hand. But I cannot blame you. Being as focused on loyalty and teamwork as you are, the actions of the members of Athena's cabin must have been much worse for you than for the son of Poseidon. Since the cabin is used by my hunters whenever we visit the camp, I got you this place. This is a perfect replica of your trailer, so pay attention to what you keep here and there. Or just do what you always does and carry it all with you. You cheater. Well, since I already claimed you and Dionysius and Chiron probably already asked you about us, it is my turn to explain it to my hunters. Wish me luck. Demi. Naruto sighed. He had been warned that being declared her son could gain him the enmity of the campers, not that he didn't do a good enough job on his own, but didn't think of what it would cause with her hunters. He hoped she didn't get in any trouble with them for his sake. Taking a deep breath, he let himself fall on his back on the bed, not bothering to remove his armor. Next morning, he felt like he was back in the leaf during the academy. Everyone just looking at him from afar and whispering in a way that he could totally hear everything while he sat by himself in table 8. At least he wasn't alone in this, as people were doing the same to Percy in table 3. And it was worse for him, since unlike with Naruto the Hellhound had been going for Percy. Probably because, as his father was one of the big three as they were called, his divine scent was much stronger for them. Since they had their own cabins, for some reason, some of the activities were separated from the others. Naruto missed having sword training with Cabin 11, although Percy was having personal training from Luke for some reason. Annabeth kept giving them both Greek lessons, but she was distracted and irritated. Naruto thought it could be for what he told her in the capture the flag, but the way she acted towards Percy and not him told him otherwise. That happened for a few days. This is inconceivable. Roared the voice of Zeus. Actually it is the exact opposite, Artemis explained, as if to a particularly slow child, it happened exactly because it is conceivable. She took a sip of her cup of tea, ignoring her father spluttering in apoplectic rage. All the other gods but Athena, Hephaestus and Dionysius, who already knew everything, and Aphrodite, who was extremely excited for some reason, looked at her like if she had grown a second head. But you swore to remain a maiden. So did Athena, and I don't see you giving her grief for having children. But Athena. Who cares about that, it's already done. Exclaimed a happy Aphrodite. Now tell us, how is the guy who stole Artemis's heart? Oh, that's easy, Artemis said, holding back her laughter. He got blonde spiky hair and sky blue eyes and birthmarks on his face. He has a weird sense of humor but is very upbeat and determined, never letting anything keeping him down, and is very loyal and got his own code of honor, never breaking a promise. But the most important is. Aphrodite was almost falling from the edge of her seat. He is my first child and for that will forever have a special place in my heart. Aphrodite did fall this time. No, I meant the father. The man you had him with. Oh, him. His father was okay, I guess. Looked a bit like the son, but a bit of a sissy. Pretty powerful though. It is the mom I was more friends with though, and you can see her personality in him clearly. Links from everyone not in the known. What Aphrodite finally said. Oh. I'm not the mom. But he is my son too. I kind of overblessed the womb of the mother, so he is kind of a third mine. Again? What? Artemis sighed. Since I have the domain of childbirth it is easily conceivable that I could bless a woman to be able to conceive. But you never did it before. You only helped them during the birth, Zeus said. Yes. Which is why this happened. I don't know if it is normal or if I put too much of my divine energy in her womb, but her child was born with part of me in his blood. I am not his mother and obviously not his father. Not really sure what is the name of what I am to him, only know that I'm also his parent. His mom jokingly declared me his godmother, so it is how we address each other. Were they married? Hera asked, seriously. They got married just a few days before I blessed her womb. They kept it a secret because of their enemies though. I approve of this demigod then, Hera then said, shocking everyone. What? My main problem with demigods is that they make a mockery of my domain. Especially my own husband's. Don't look at me like that, Athena, you know full well you never married any of the fathers of your children. Meanwhile Artemis's method reinforced their bond. I'm not saying I will go out of my way to help him, just that if we meet he won't be treated as the others. Thank you, Lady Hera, Artemis said, with a bow. True, she held a bit of animosity towards Hera for how she treated her own mom, but she understood that it was because she was born from outside the marriage of the goddess of marriage, and her own existence together with Apollo was a personal insult to her. Now that this one is dealt with, Zeus said, finally regaining his bearings, what was so important about the other one? Well, Dionysius started, all humor left him now, the other one, Percy Jackson. Naruto awoke to a dark day. It wasn't still night, but there was not much light due to the amount of storm clouds. The amount of lightning was not small either. But what caught Naruto's attention was that Ace was not standing in the barrel he usually stood on. He always thought it was weird why he did it, but he considered it training so. He was a bit worried, but shrugged. Ace knew how to take care of himself, or would play his horn if he needed help. Thus Naruto went to his morning run and training, waving to the Apollo kids and the satyrs playing volley. Then, some time later, it started to rain. Naruto wasn't overly worried, but he did wonder what they would do with the dinner pavilion to avoid the food getting wet. Ace digging his way up from the ground and running beside him did not startle him, it was typical really, but the expression on his face did make him stop. "Something wrong?" he asked, a bit worried. "The gods are fighting," Ace answered. "Someone stole the symbol of Zeus and he thinks it was the kid we helped some days ago. He went to an oracle to get a prophecy so he could go on a quest." Naruto frowned. He disliked prophecies and fate. The mere fact that he could be forced on his actions instead of them being a result of his choices and actions sickened him. At least the existence of the Laplace's demon theory made him feel a bit better. The idea of them not controlling his actions, but just predicting them up to a point gave him hope. Not that it wasn't bullshit, but it was less than controlling him like a puppet. Before he noticed it, he was standing in front of Chiron, Grover, and what he could swear was an invisible person, judging by the mark of feet in the grass. He chalked the fact it wasn't leaving a shape in the rain to divine magic. And he knew of one person with such an item. "Chiron, Grover, Chase," he said neutrally. Even if he was not on best terms with Cabin 6 and specifically this girl, he had something more important right now besides being seen should be humiliation enough. "Naruto," Chiron said with a smile, "what are you doing here?" Annabeth resisted the urge to answer, not knowing how he figured out she was there. She stepped as silently as she could to somewhere else. "I heard Percy is going on a quest. I came to join the team and help him." "I was expecting Grover and Annabeth to go, and we do not on teams bigger than 3 here. It is a sacred number, more than 3 seems to bring bad luck." "I'm not superstitious. And actually, I can understand Grover, but why Annabeth? She is a daughter of Athena. That means she got knowledge and plenty of strategic abilities. She is inexperienced with danger, unlike me, and even if the knowledge is a good point, since a mission deals mostly with the unknown, it deals more with instinctual improvisation than previous planning. Are you sure she is up to it? From what I heard it is a pretty important mission." "You seem to disagree with my choosing of Annabeth, but not of Grover," Chiron said, trying to distract Naruto from the fuming Annabeth. This was the chance she had been waiting for, after all. "As a satyr he has many abilities that can be useful. I'm known for my improvisation skills already, so all Annabeth would give is the knowledge. Not that it is a bad thing, knowing the opponent can be really helpful, but how can I know she is up to it in the heat of things? As I said, this is supposed to be an important one, not the place for giving new people a taste of the real world, trust me, from personal experience, chances of freezing are high." Chiron nodded, not knowing how to refute his words. "Well, I will give the choice to Jackson, if you don't mind. It is his team, after all." "Makes sense," Naruto nods, a bit disappointed. He was almost sure Percy would choose Annabeth with the obvious crush he had for her. He wondered if he could sneak after them, though. It was at that point that Percy returned. "Well?" asked Chiron. Percy just let himself fall into a chair. "She said I would bring back what was stolen." "That's great," Grover said happily. "Then why the long face?" Naruto asked then. Percy sighed before answering. "Because someone that goes with me will die." That sobered up Grover. Naruto couldn't see Annabeth, but her feet shifted. He didn't want to believe though. He would try with his whole being to make those 3 come back. Chiron wasn't so quick to sadden either though. "Percy, what exactly did the oracle said? This is important." Percy took a deep breath before repeating the prophecy as best as he could. "The 4 shall head west o' the land devoid of life what was stolen, will be reddened but only 3 will return and glory the flame that thrives in the darkness shall face that darkness gives turn to elder light a betrayal from a free end and ancient evil returns prophecies collide." "Prophecies collide?" Chiron asked, confused. It could mean that it is going against another prophecy or that whoever it is that had this vision saw 2 visions at once. Naruto tried. "It makes sense, since it does not rhyme so much," Grover added. Naruto scratched the back of his head, pensive. He didn't want to believe in prophecies, but he knew that the flame that thrives in the darkness was probably a reference to a ninja from the land of fire, but what other lines were about him? Was the darkness turning to elder light a good or bad thing? Man, trying to understand prophecies is confusing. The oracle's words usually have double meanings. The prophecies collide part and the weird way the rhymes are makes it even more confusing. Do not dwell on them too much. The truth is not always clear until events come to pass. "Okay," Percy said, taking a deep breath. "So I and 3 others will go to the west. What is there important in the west?" "Well," Chiron said, "if Zeus and Poseidon weaken each other in a war, who stands to gain?" "Aries, I think," Naruto answered. "I mean, he is the god of war, right? That means that if there is a war he gets stronger. Wasn't there a prophecy that one of the sons of Zeus would overthrow him?" Well, the prophecy was later avoided by Zeus breaking up a relationship he was having at the time, and Achilles was born instead, but you are not wrong on the rest, but I was thinking more along the lines of someone who held a grudge and has been unhappy with his lot since the world was divided eons ago, and whose kingdom would become more powerful with the death of millions. Someone who would hate his brothers for forcing him into an oath to not have any more children, yet the other two broke it. And most importantly, someone whose entrance to his domain is on the west and whose subordinate already went after Percy. Hades, Percy finished. A piece of aluminum fell out of Grover's mouth. Whoa, wait. What? The Fury came after Percy, Chiron reminded him. She watched the young man until she was sure of his identity, then tried to kill him. Furies obey only one lord. Hades. Yes, but Hades hates all heroes, Grover said. Especially if he has found out Percy is a son of Poseidon. The hellhound got into the forest, Chiron countered. Those can only be summoned from the fields of punishment, and it had to be summoned by someone within the camp. Hades must have a spy here. He must suspect Poseidon will try to use Percy to clear his name. Hades would very much like to kill this young half-blood before he can take on the quest. Wait, how would they figure out he was the son of Poseidon before the attack? Well, you didn't spend all your time with Percy, so they could have figured out with clues you didn't see. Or they could have already been warned by the Fury he defeated, since she did attack him earlier. Great, I muttered. That makes two of the major gods who want to kill me, Percy grumbled. Naruto couldn't blame him, really. But a quest to Grover swallowed. I mean, couldn't the Master Bolt be in some place like Maine? Maine's very nice this time of year. I take it the entrance to the underworld is not in Maine. I'm not good with your culture. The most famous city in the West is Los Angeles, California, Chiron said. And since the gods follow the culture, it is probably there, Naruto understood. Hades sent a minion to steal the Master Bolt, Chiron brought the topic back on track. He hid it in the underworld, knowing full well that Zeus would blame Poseidon. I don't pretend to understand perfectly the Lord of the Dead's motives or why he chose this time to start a war, but one thing is certain. Percy must go to the underworld, find the Master Bolt, and reveal the truth. Whoa, the Oracle just said to go west, we are assuming it means the underworld. We can't just blame him like that, Naruto countered. Since he controls the dead, I don't even think he needs to have them weakened to start a war anyway, since everyone defeated on his side will come back since they'd be dead, and every opponent defeated adds to his own. And most weapons can't affect them anyway. That's the problem with fighting ghosts. As I said, I do not understand his motives perfectly. But a war would increase his army and make him much more powerful too. Besides, this is just a suspicion. And even if it wasn't, the gods can't enter each other's territories, but by invitation. We have no way to know until we send a hero there to check it out. No god can be held responsible for a hero's action, which is why they operate through humans. Chiron saw Naruto made a face at the word hero. You're saying I'm being used, Percy said. I'm saying it is no coincidence that you were claimed by Poseidon now. It is a gamble, but your father is in a desperate situation. He needs you. Naruto could see the emotions battling each other on Percy's face. You knew all along I was a child of Poseidon, didn't you? Percy finally asked Chiron. I had my suspicions. You are not the only one to visit the Oracle. So let me get this straight. I am supposed to go to the underworld, face the Lord of the Dead. Check, said Chiron. Find the most powerful weapon of the universe. Check. And get it back to Olympus before the summer solstice, in 10 days. That's right. He looked at Grover, who seemed very nervous. Did I mention that Maine is very nice this time of the year? You don't have to go if you don't want to, Percy said, I can't ask that of you. Oh no, it's just that, Satyrs and underground places. He took a deep breath. You saved my life, Percy. Naruto helped, but you were there first and tried to do it with no experience in monster hunting. If you're serious about wanting me along, I won't let you down. All the way, Goatman, Percy replied with a smile. Then Percy's face fell. How will I pay for the plane? Do we get some help or? Percy, the open air is Zeus's domain, remember? One of the guys that wants you dead. Grover reminded him. Naruto just looked at him confused, not knowing what a plane was. Alright, I'll travel through the land then. That's right, Chiron agreed. Also, usually you'd have 2 companions, but since the Oracle said you would be 4, you have 2 other volunteers if you accept their help. Naruto quickly jumped to Annabeth's side and put his arm over her invisible shoulder, pulling her to him and hearing a surprised gasp from her. Naruto? What are you doing? Standing beside my volunteer friend, he replied. But there's no one there. Annabeth chose then to remove her cap of invisibility and show herself. How did you know where I was? You may be invisible, but your feet still push the grass you step on. Percy made a weird face after seeing the girl. Percy, I know you may still be bitter about the capture the flag game, but I only read a bit, I don't know that much about the myths and monsters we will be dealing with. She may not be as smart as she thinks, but she has information we don't and sometimes that can save your life. Percy sighed. Well, if you who reacted that badly is alright with her, why would I hold a grudge? That's the spirit. Excellent, Chiron said. This afternoon, we can take you as far as the bus terminal in Manhattan. After that, you are on your own. Lightning flashed. Rain poured down on the meadows that were never supposed to have violent weather. No time to waste. I think you should all get packing. Naruto, a word please. Naruto nodded to the others and waited while they went to prepare themselves. What about the word hero makes you react badly, Naruto? Chiron asked now that they were alone. I don't get me wrong, but I don't believe that heroes are a word that can be used so lightly. I get why most of the ancient heroes are called it after the fact, but the way people here treat it is like being a demigod makes you a hero, while for me it is their actions made without wanting to be a hero. I think most heroes are already in the underworld with Hades, or at least got close enough to get there, despite not trying to become heroes at the time. Hell, my village has a stone where the name of those who died on missions is called, and those are considered our greatest heroes. Being called a hero is supposed to be a result of selfless actions, not something you are born for being. They inspire us not just for their actions and abilities, but for why they use them. The way the word is used here actually makes me feel bad for the ones I really think should be called heroes. I see, Chiron said. You are not wrong. Naruto waited. And waited. Something wrong? Chiron asked after a while in silence. I'm waiting for the but part. There is no but part. The fact is, despite we calling them heroes, there is a difference between heroes and true heroes. Do not feel bad for your thoughts. Just learn to separate the truth. As long as you know what a true hero is, you can strive to turn our so-called ones in them. It is what I try to do. You can go now. You have preparations to do. Naruto nodded and left, not noticing a smile on Chiron. Of course, some are able to figure it out by themselves. Naruto was aroused from his sleep by a sound from outside the ship. Knowing there weren't many people on it and the only ones were also male, he went outside to check what was going on. Ah, good morning, said a man in a red outfit and a weird hat. It won't be long, if the Valhaber poured our drinks now, we could reach him before they went flat. I have no idea what that means, but I guess that's good. You want to come here and see for yourself. Naruto did so, going for the deck. Just a bit more and you can spot Valhaber in the horizon. Was that why there was that sound? What sound? The red-clad man asked. Never mind, I can smell the city from here. Or maybe I've got something stuck in my mustache again. Har har. Maybe. You weren't supposed to agree, kiddo, the red-clad man said, a bit saddened. Then he quickly got cheerful again. Are you excited? A bustling bazaar floating on a sea of sand. Ain't nothing or nobody you can't find there. Even the gathering hall is there nowadays. This here's what I love about being a caravaneer leading a big old caravan of trusted companions all over the world. Well, the trusted companions part is a big of a work in progress. In fact, that's what brings me to Valhaber. I'm looking to recruit 3 more companions to join me on my travels. Just anyone? Naruto asked, curious. Nah, they've got to have the skills to complete the caravan, of course, but the most important is that they have to be good people I can trust with the rest. And whatever you're in the market for, be it good folk, good deals, or good intel, Valhaber is the place. And the barkeeps don't water down the drinks. Well, not as much as most places, at least to him, but no time for that this trip. I've got companions to hustle up. I won't settle for sorts or layabouts. The caravaneer must put his hopes and dreams in his comrades' hands, you know. You mentioned you need to be able to trust them with your life, and of the others sounds nice. Why don't you join me? Aren't you going there to be a hunter? I need one, my last one moved up in the world. I'm still learning. In fact, the palico that is going to teach me, Ace, is taking me to take my license so he could teach me better. Ace? Could it be the same Ace that? The sound that woke Naruto up repeated. That's it. That's the sound that woke me up. You have a good ear, the caravaneer said. It is that remobber swarm over yonder, he pointed. I wonder what seems to have them in a fuss. The answer was a gigantic beast jumping from the sands, the wind it generated throwing the caravaneer's hat away. Naruto only had one reaction. You have got to be kidding me. As the beast rammed the ship, the caravaneer's hat seemed really lost to the winds. The Darren Morin. I was afraid of that. When you see a remobber swarm, you just know that elder dragon can't be far behind, the caravaneer said. What out now, don't fall off the ship. The beast rammed the sand ship again, and Naruto could see the caravaneer's hat right on top of one of its spikes. Well, no time for that now. The caravaneer tries being dismissive, but really seemed to like that hat. Listen up, hunter. Unless we can stop it, that Darren Morin'll crush Valhaber like a huskberry. I'll send a distress call. Try to buy some time. Later. I need to do something first. Naruto replied. What? What? Your hat. Paravani's eyes widened in surprise. Criminy Hunter, you got some Duranboro-sized well, alright then. I'd thank you kindly for it if you make it back. I will. The Caravaneer nodded. You can climb on that thing's back from its arm. Wait on the deck and I'll holler when it's safe. Naruto grabbed the mast, waiting for the signal. Now. He run up the enormous arm, crossing the beast's body sidewise to reach that red hat. Good on ya, Hunter. But be careful. Looks like it's fixin' to shake you off that moor and ain't no moron. Got it? Going back. Well, the Zamtrio set is your strongest one right now, and with those decorations you added, it is also the most useful. I really wish you would make more armors when you get the chance though. Since space is no problem here where you can use your chakra. Yeah, thought so too, Calico, but it is good to have a second opinion. Are you sure it is better I don't go? Well, we were only authorized to be in 4. I know you guys don't mind not counting, but I'd rather avoid annoying the higher powers. Higher powers? I remember when it meant the leaders of the guild instead of gods, Ace retorted. Easier to pretend to have just misheard them. Naruto nodded. You know, I should have asked Hiro-Sennin how to make those blood scrolls, that way I could make one for Percy so he could keep his minotaur horn with him all the time. Don't feel responsible for him. When you arrived his mom was already dead and you probably would have defeated the monster without endangering him if he hadn't jumped on it in rage. I know that's not what I was thinking of. Ace looked at him curiously. When Calico mentioned me being able to use chakra, I barely used more than just to seal and unseal things and to move faster when I fought the bull dude, but still it feels different. A bit weaker, but easier to control. And we can't help you there. I think the only way to know is by talking with someone else that can use chakra. Want me to go to Konoha and ask Jiraiya's opinion? No, Naruto said. After I finish the camp I will talk with him, but not before. Unless it is something very serious, and this is not serious enough. Ace nodded. Hey, are you going to pray for Timmy? Calico asked. I don't think she can help me during a quest. She can barely spend time with me here in the Olympians world. Olympians world is how they decided to call this plane, since Naruto's natural one was the elemental nations and the Palicos was the hunting grounds. But she is the goddess of the hunt and you are hunting for something, right? At least she may be able to give you some kind of blessing. Naruto nodded. I wonder what is this place's equivalent of a shrine. The two Palicos looked at each other. I'm pretty sure we are living inside the closest person the camp has of an Artemis one, Calico said. With a weird mix of a nod and a shrug, Naruto tried praying like he saw some people do at shrines in Konoha. Oh Artemis, goddess of the hunt, I apologize for the formality, but I am praying for you in official business. I am going on a quest in search for a missing item. Since the closest domain I can think of is a hunt, I am praying for your blessing. Thank you in advance. I understand if you are not allowed to give us assistance. That done, he clapped his hand 3 times, stood up and put the scroll with his things in the pocket of his jacket. Take care of the place, you 5. All 5 Palicos nodded. Naruto then went to the camp store where they loaned him $100 that he put on his pocket and 20 golden drachmas, which as soon as knowing they were for non-mortal business, he sealed in his scroll. Naruto had no idea how valuable those currencies were, so he was going to save as much as he could. And then he went to meet Chiron. Soon Annabeth arrived with her magic cap, a book in ancient Greek, a bronze knife and a backpack with clothes. Grover on the other hand had, besides his fake feet and hat to hide the horns, just some scrap metal and apples and a set of reed pipes. Naruto wasn't even sure if he was carrying clothes. Soon Percy arrived. He was carrying just a backpack with a change of clothes and a toothbrush. What about the horn? Naruto asked, confused. I left it in my cabin. I used it to avenge my mother. It is my last memento of her. I don't want to lose it. Naruto sighed, but nodded. Percy was weaponless. Do not worry Naruto, I got a gift for Percy that will be even more useful, said Chiron, handing each of the 3 a canteen and a bag full of squares of what Naruto remembered being ambrosia. That meant that on the canteen was nectar. Now, don't drink or eat these save for emergencies, like if you are seriously hurt. It is god food. It will heal you of any injury, but too much and you feel feverish, and if you overdose you will burn to ashes. Now, Percy, you may remember this, he finished, handing Percy a pen. Percy looked at it as if not understanding, then his eyes widened. The sword. Yes. Your father left it with me. I've kept it for years, not knowing who it was for. Percy slowly uncapped the pen and it turned into a sword in front of their eyes. The sword has a long and tragic history that we need not go into, Chiron said. Its name is Anaklusmos. Riptide Percy translated, or so Naruto thought, he understood both, but they felt like different words. Use it only for emergencies and only against monster. No hero should harm mortals unless absolutely necessary. He took a glance at Naruto's direction, happy that after their talk he stopped scowling at the use of the word. Of course, this sword wouldn't harm them anyway. What do you mean it wouldn't harm mortals? How could it not? Percy asked. It must be celestial bronze. They are a supernatural metal that only affects the supernatural, meaning that to mortals it just passes through them like an illusion, but it works much better than most other things against monster, gods or people with divine blood like us. I have these bracelets that turn any weapon I'm holding into a sort of celestial bonds when I turn them on, which is how I cut the bullboy's arm that easily with a glaive of mortal material, Naruto finished. Showing the small chains on his wrists. Percy nodded. Now, recap the pen, Chiron told Percy. He did so, putting the cap on the tip and the sword shortened until it took the shape of a pen again. Percy put it in his pocket but seemed nervous. Chiron then explained and showed Percy how the pen sword could not be lost, being enchanted to always return to his pocket. But what if a mortal sees me pulling out a sword? Percy asked. Mist is a powerful thing, Percy, Chiron explained with a smile. Mist? An illusion to hide the supernatural from most mortals. It makes people explain in their minds things that shouldn't be happening. I was told some people can control it too. That is it, basically. Read the Iliad sometime, it has many references to it. I will be going first. Say goodbye to everyone and meet me near the exit. They did so, taking a final look at the camp. Naruto made it his mission to say goodbye to everyone, friendly or not. The only one missing was Luke, who he couldn't find on time. They went in the direction of the exit, where there was a tall pine tree. There, Chiron was on his wheelchair together with a man in chauffeur's uniform. Naruto noticed he had some extra eyes. This is Argus, Chiron said. He will drive you to the city and, well, keep an eye on things. Naruto just stared at Chiron, who faced the other way. But the boy quickly turned, finally seeing Luke, who was running up the hill to them carrying some shoes. Hey, glad I caught you. Where were you, man? I looked for you everywhere. Naruto asked. I was getting these, he answered, lifting the shoes. They could be useful. He handed them to Percy, but they looked like normal shoes. Then he said Maya and they grew wings, making Percy drop them. Flying shoes. Cool. Naruto said. Awesome. Grover agreed. Those served me well when I was on my quest. Gift from my father, Luke told them. Of course, I don't use them much these days. Why not? Naruto asked. Sure, you haven't been to quests, but it is still flying shoes. Bad memories, he answered simply, and Naruto nodded in understanding. Naruto left Luke say his goodbyes to the other three before shaking his hand and letting the older boy leave. He then let Percy tease Annabeth about her obvious crush for a bit, as if his wasn't just as obvious. He was smart enough to figure out he wouldn't be able to use the shoes though, so he gave them to Grover. They then started talking history, well, mythology. At that point, Naruto decided to leave them and went to the vehicle they called van. The world outside was as alien to Naruto as it was supposed to be, being, well, a different world. Lots and lots of cars walking around at high speeds carrying people without anything pulling them was a big surprise at first. So far so good, Percy said, 10 miles and. Finish the sentence and I will hurt you, Naruto said. What? Why? It is bad luck to talk that way, seaweed brain, Annabeth explained. Remind me again, why do you hate me so much? Percy asked the girl. I don't hate you. Could have fooled me. Look, we're just not supposed to get along, okay? Our parents are rivals. Naruto chose that time to enter the conversation. And what does that have to do with you and him? What do you mean what that has to do with us? They are our parents. Exactly. Your parents. Not you. Annabeth looked at him like he had just insulted her. Look, I understand wanting to make your parents proud of you. But you are not their clones. Neither of you is. That means that you do not have to dislike who they dislike, and even if you do, blaming their children for their actions is stupid. Annabeth looked down, deep in thought. Do not hate each other because your parents do. Hate each other because Percy is an idiot and Annabeth thinks being smarter makes her better than others. Both kids looked at him angrily. See? You are both wanting to murder me for my own actions, he said with a smile. Grover snorted. Some time later, at sunset, Argus dropped them at a station here they would take a bus. Naruto noticed Percy rip a flyer out of a mailbox with a picture of him asking for information. Only you? Not your mom? Naruto asked as gently as he could. Since the car was found broken and neither of us was seen since then, my stepfather, Smully Gabe I call him, has been blaming me for the disappearance. He always treated mom like trash and saw me as an annoyance. I have no idea what she saw in him. She was with him to protect you, Percy, Grover said from behind them. Yo, you call him smelly, but you've got no idea. The guy has this aura. I can smell him from here. I can smell traces of him on you, and you haven't been near him for a week. Thanks. Where's the nearest shower? Percy asked. You should be grateful, Percy. Your stepfather smelled so repulsively human he could mask the presence of any demigod. As soon as I took a whiff inside his Camaro, I knew. Gabe has been covering your scent for years. If you hadn't lived with him every summer, you probably would have been found by monsters a long time ago. Your mom stayed with him to protect you. She was a smart lady. She must have loved you a lot to put up with that guy, if that makes you feel any better. I doubt it, Naruto said. Yeah, now I feel worse for having her suffer him for my sake. While they waited for the bus, Percy, Grover and Annabeth started playing with an apple, while Naruto went to take a look around the station. He found something in a store that put a smile on his face. He just had to buy it. After a while the bus came, and they started boarding it until Grover started smelling the air. What is it? Percy asked. I don't know, maybe it's nothing, he answered. I don't think so. My instincts are warning me of something wrong, and I learned to trust them, Naruto said. Mine too, Percy agreed. What do we do? Pretend you didn't notice. This will give us an advantage, they'll think we will be surprised. Naruto sat in the front of the bus, while the other three found seats together in the back. He noticed that, as a group of old ladies passed him, they tensed a bit but were more focused on the ones in the back. He did his best to pretend he didn't notice. If they tensed when they saw him, that meant their target was the other demigods. The three just sat down, not too far from Naruto. He was sure they knew the demigods noticed them, but they were clearly ignoring Naruto, probably thought Naruto didn't know about the camp, or maybe the one Percy defeated was focused on him. After they entered a tunnel and the bus was mostly dark, the three old women said very unconvincingly that they had to use the bathroom and moved to the back. Naruto just palmed 2 kunes from the pouch in his leg and followed them silently from a small distance. Then the three turned into monsters wielding fiery whips. Where is it? They asked furiously. Naruto quickly ran forward with speed fueled by chakra and activated the bracelets, making the kunes glow silver. However, no one was able to notice in time as they sank deeply in the back of 2 surprised furies who turned into dust without knowing who attacked them. Then the bus went out of control. Naruto had no idea what was going on as the bus swerved left and right, but when it started spinning just to crash into trees, he was sure there was something wrong. The people were leaving the bus in a hurry, but the fury was keeping Annabeth and Grover from doing the same. Then Percy appeared from near the door, holding Annabeth's cap and getting the final furies Mrs. Dudes. Really? Attention, and she stalked in his direction, ignoring the other 3 demigods, while claiming Percy offended the gods and so would die. Percy answered by unsheathing Reptide. After some small banter, Mrs. Dudes tried attacking Percy with her whip. You ignore Naruto at your own peril. Before Mrs. Dudes could finish her attack, she was hit by a ball of spinning energy on her gut and thrown past Annabeth and Grover to the back of the bus. Then the thunder was heard. Get out. Now. Annabeth screamed. Naruto didn't wait and grabbed the 2, pulling them in Percy's direction and outside. Some time later, Grover noticed the lack of something. Our bags. We left our. Then lightning hit the bus and the windows exploded. I think it'd be better to forget the bag. Sorry about your flute though, Naruto said, looking at his hand. Nah, it was in my pocket. The wailing was heard coming from the wreckage. She is calling for reinforcements. We have to get out of here, said Annabeth. The 4 went through the woods through the darkness, leaving the bus and Mrs. Dudes behind. This way, Naruto called, leading the way as fast as he could with 3 civilians, even if demigods and a satyr. For some reason his vision was pretty clear. A blessing by Teamy. 3 kindly ones, Grover said, still in shock after a while. All 3 at once. He then turned to Naruto. And you took care of them like if they were nothing. I took them by surprise. Now less talking and more walking. He is right, Annabeth agreed, the farther we get away, the better. All our money was back there, Percy said in a defeated tone. Our food and clothes. Everything. Actually, I'm still with all I had with me. We may need to get some clothes, but I still got $90 and all my drachmas. Wait, 90? Weren't you loaned 100? I had to buy something, he said, a bit embarrassed. He went a bit ahead of them, but made sure they could follow him. The other 3 soon started talking about themselves, and Naruto was able to slow down and think about himself, looking at his hand. What the hell was going on with him? You seem to be looking at your hand a lot, Annabeth said. Your first time using that power? No, not really. But it was different than usual. I'm usually not skilled enough to use as easily as I did there, but on the other hand, it usually packs more of a punch. I just can't get it. Annabeth kept quiet for a bit. You seem to be guiding us pretty well through the forest. Oh, I prayed for Teamy, Artemis, for help since we are hunting for something. I think she gave me a blessing to see easier in the dark. Annabeth nodded. So Naruto asked this time, we still going for Hades? Annabeth asked, confused. Well, I don't know if you noticed, but the three were looking not exactly for Percy, but for something. The only thing I can think of is the lightning bolt. Why would they be asking us for it if Hades had it? Annabeth thought about this for a bit. It changes our questions, but not our destination. The oracle just said to go west, so it is our only clue. Naruto nodded. That was true, they had no other idea of where to go. After some time, they were able to see some colored light ahead and smell some food. It wasn't particularly appetizing to Naruto, being from the Leaf Village and later eating mostly meat he hunted or from the street cook, but Percy seemed pretty happy by it. So do you guys want to go there? He got nods. Even from Annabeth and Grover. Naruto wasn't happy, having linked forests with safety, as long as they weren't named of death due to his village being surrounded by them, but he accepted it. They followed the light and smell until getting near a road. There were some businesses on the other side, but only one of them open. What's a garden gnome? Naruto asked. It is a small statue people use to decorate their gardens, usually in the shape of a gnome, Annabeth explained. Why? Asked Percy back. Because the only open store is Auntie M's Garden Gnome Emporium and I don't see how that would mean food. Sometimes stores near gas stations like this one specialize in other things, but still have food and drink for the customers that visited. Naruto nodded in understanding, but the store still looked weird to him, as if there was something wrong. Percy crossed the street right away, followed by Annabeth. Hey, Grover called. The lights are on inside, maybe it's open, Annabeth said, ignoring him. Snack bar, Percy said. Snack bar, she agreed. Are you too crazy? This place is weird. Grover tried to call for them. Agreeing with him, Naruto made two clones, answering Grover's surprised look with a later, and made them trade places with the other two. But the blink at noticing where they were and the two other Narutos where they were supposed to be disappearing in smoke, the two turned to their orange-clad companion. How did you do that? Annabeth asked. I never heard of a hunter of Artemis having these powers and it is the same for them as being turned into her daughters, so your powers were supposed to be related to them. Oh, I'm a ninja before I am a hunter, Naruto answered with a shrug. The other three blinked. A ninja? Seriously? Percy asked excited. Yup. Right from the village hidden in the leaves. Annabeth blinked. Do you have anything to do with flames? Yeah, the village is in a place known as Land of Fire. The leader's name that I plan to become someday is called Fire Shadow in your language, and we have a personal belief called the Will of Fire. Also, one of the founding clans had a very high ability for using fire techniques. This time, Percy blinked. Why call it the village hidden in the leaves then? Naruto shrugged. The leader of the other founding clan was able to use a special technique that made a gigantic forest grow up in a day. Besides, the villages are usually named for their locations, with cloud being in mountains, sand in the desert, mist in the sea, and rock. Okay, I have no idea about rock. The prophecy? Annabeth said. The line about the flame that thrives in the darkness must be about you. But the other one related to it is she'll face that darkness gives turn into elder light and that doesn't sound good, Percy pointed out. That aside, it isn't so useful now that we are already in the quest, Naruto said. Now, the part that is more important. What about the clones or the teleport? Switching is a basic ninja skill, the clones are a secret technique I learned because I'm terrible with making illusion ones. But more important, what were you doing going there like that? Even ignored Grover when he called you. The other two looked at the ground, ashamed. We were feeling hungry, Percy finally said. Then you should have told us. You knew I still had everything I came with. You don't seem to be carrying much with you, Percy pointed out. Especially food. As an answer, he pulled out his scroll and summoned 2 sticks with meat for them. Here, a well-done meat. Or do you like rare more? The two looked surprised at the scroll. I'm vegetarian, Grover said. I have an energy drink made with honey and some choice mushrooms. It doesn't fill me as well as meat, but… Deal. Grover agreed, taking the container of homemade drink and drinking it. Wow, I feel like I won't sleep for hours. Good. Now, we all agree that there is something weird about that place. Yes, even when hungry I wouldn't act like that, Annabeth said, and Percy nodded in agreement. Think we should check it out? Naruto asked. The other three looked at him weirdly. Didn't you just? Percy started. You were acting weird. Now we know something there is wrong. But they don't know we know. Besides, we can't let anyone else be caught in their trap. The other three nodded and after finishing their food they went to the front of the store. It was surrounded by statues. Even had a satyr. Ah ha ha, looks like my Uncle Ferdinand. Grover said. I smell monsters. We expected that. Any idea of a monster obsessed with statues? Medusa, Annabeth answered. She has snakes for hair and can turn whoever looks into her uncovered face directly into a statue. Uncle Ferdinand, Grover said, sadly. From their poses, I don't think they looked at her on arrival. She will try to trick us. The other three nodded and Annabeth wore her cap. As soon as they approached the door, it opened. There was a woman wearing a long black gown that covered everything but her hands, and her head was veiled, with eyes under a curtain of black gauze. Children, it is too late to be out all alone, where are your parents? We were at a summer camp, Naruto took over. We were doing an excursion, but the bus broke nearby. We volunteered to look this way for a way to call for help. I'm sorry, the phone isn't working. I already called for someone to fix it, but it takes some days before they come here in the middle of nowhere. But enter. Why don't you eat something? Thank you. Do you serve vegetarian food? Grover is one. I will see what I can do. The dining area is in the back. On the way there were many more statues, with different expressions, poses and clothes, especially the expression. Most of them seemed a mix of startled and terrified. Definitely Medusa. Especially as she locked the door after they entered. She after a bit brought a tray with 3 double cheeseburgers, milkshakes and a bucket of fries. Naruto ate one of the burgers she gave them. He left the fries for Grover, although the goat boy seemed a bit nervous as he ate, and Percy, and from the way some disappeared, Annabeth. Not going to eat your burger, Percy? Auntie M asked. I had a bag of chips and gave them to him earlier, Naruto answered. He must be mostly full. Yeah, do you mind if I take it to go? Oh, no problem. I was thinking you could stay the night though, since it is getting quite late, Auntie M replied. Sorry, our bus should be fixed soon. It's better if we go back quickly, by the way. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I am so lonely here. Ever since the highway was built there are not many customers coming this way. I must treasure every customer I get. Percy looked around, seeing a statue of a little girl. Seeing the expression on her face and knowing who Auntie M was made his stomach twist. What were they doing there? Ah. You notice some of my creations do not turn out well. They are marred. They do not sell. The face is the hardest to get right. Always the face, she said sadly. You make these statues yourself? Percy asked, resisting the urge to cringe. He expected her to act proud. The sadness in the words of her answer surprised him though. Oh, yes. Once upon a time, I had 2 sisters to help me in the business, but they have passed on, and Auntie M is alone. I have only my statues. This is why I make them, you see. They are my company. What happened? He couldn't help himself asking. It's a terrible story. Not one for children, really. You see, a bad woman was jealous of me, long ago, when I was young. I had a boyfriend, and this bad woman was determined to break us apart. She caused a terrible accident. My sisters stayed by me. They shared my bad fortune as long as they could, but eventually they passed on. They faded away. I alone have survived, but at a price. Such a price. Naruto closed his eyes. From the little he had read, Medusa had been a priestess of Athena who was seduced by Percy's father and had done the deed inside her temple. Insulted, the goddess turned her into what she is now. He could understand Athena's anger, but. Yet, he looked around. Medusa was out of control, turning people in stone to have some company. She became a rabid dog, a monster that would not stop until killed. We really should go, he said, standing up. Percy and Grover followed, a bit confused. Please, dears, I so rarely get to be with children. Before you go, won't you at least sit for a pose? Will it take long? Naruto asked, visibly sad. For Auntie M it seemed to be because he was leaving, Percy and Grover were confused. Naruto was saddened because that was the point of no return for her. I will just take a photograph. I will use it to model a new statue set. Children are so popular, you see. Everyone loves children. I clinched it. Naruto had to stop her. He stood in the middle, hands on the top of the heads of Percy and Grover. His eyes were closed and his smile wide. Open your eyes, Naruto dear. They are so beautiful, but I can't see them like this. But this is my trademark smile, Naruto complained, but complied. His eyes opened a bit, his smile becoming smaller and a bit more sad. Perfect. Now just stay still, Jaya. As the monster moved her hand to remove her veil, Annabeth chose that moment to stab the back of Medusa with her knife. Naruto wasted no time, pushing the heads of the other 2 down and advancing on her while her back was turned, but quickly closed his eyes on instinct as the woman pulled it out and turned. He threw himself to the ground, being scratched on his side by sharp claws, but luckily he had been quick enough to avoid a really damaging wound. Maya, Naruto heard Grover scream and the goat boy flew above his head, pushing the monster woman away, but he heard a crash as the boy flew against a statue. Possibly was flying with the eyes closed. Naruto stood up and grabbed 2 kunes, activated his bracelets and went for the attack as good as he could, having his eyes closed. He did better than expected though. He had no idea if his hits were damaging her, but he could feel a pressure in the kunes, showing they were hitting something. He got as good as he gave though, maybe worse. Then suddenly he heard Grover's voice. "Naruto. Duck." He rolled down away and heard something heavy crossing the air. That was for Uncle Ferdinand. Grover screamed as Naruto heard the impact and Medusa screaming in rage. After the second hit sound, Naruto charged again, hitting her in the stomach with his head and trying to stab her. But she grabbed his hands and started trying to turn them, trying to make him stab himself. He pushed as much chakra in his arms as he could, but her strength was enormous. Then, he heard the sound of a sword cutting the air he memorized from the battle against Zabuza, and a meaty thunk. He felt the body under him turn to dust and disappear. "Don't open your eyes." Annabeth screamed, then grabbed something from the grass. "You can open them now," she said some time later. In her hand was something wrapped in Medusa's veil, dripping a green liquid. Naruto knew what it was though. Percy was holding a green glass ball that worked as a mirror. Must be how he knew where to cut. "Are you all okay?" she asked. "Yeah," Percy answered. "Me too," said Grover. "Just some scratches. I just need to change my clothes," said Naruto. "Why didn't the head evaporate?" Percy asked. "It is a spoil now. Same as the horn you left at the camp," Naruto explained. "Don't unwrap it though. If I remember right it can still turn people to stone." "Yes, Perseus used it to turn a sea monster when he saved Andromeda," Annabeth confirmed. "I thought it was his mom's suitors or something like that. Well, doesn't matter. I'll go change my clothes and treat the scratches. While I do it, why don't you make some hot food for us to take with us? My scroll is top quality, we'll keep them warm for a long time." That said, he left to do so well, to change his clothes. His wounds were healed on the way there already. When he got back, it was to see Percy filling a slip next to a package. He watched the process as the package was sent, and while Percy and Grover talked about it, he grabbed a second slip, sending in secret the thing he bought at the station. Or at least he hoped so. Annabeth's smile gave him the impression it wasn't so secret. "So, anyone checked her office yet?" he asked, trying to change the subject. "I did," Percy said. "There was the address for the underworld, $20 and a few drachmas. And some slips for Hermes Overnight Express. Keep some of the slips with you. After we find the bolt we can send it through Hermes instead of having to go back all the way in a hurry." Everyone looked at him wide-eyed. "Did I say something wrong?" Artemis just looked at what she just received from Hermes. A Mythamagic figurine. Her Mythamagic figurine. And it came with her card too. That only reminded her of what she still had to do, though something she had been putting off. Telling her hunters about Naruto. She left her tent and her hunters stopped whatever they were doing to look at her. She didn't really ask that of them, and after spending some time with Naruto's natural irreverence, such worship actually sat in her a bit. She saw her hunters as her daughters, but they still saw her as a goddess. Resisting the urge to sigh, she sat down in front of the fire where tonight's soup was boiling. Her lieutenant promptly stood beside her. "So, tell everyone I have something important to tell after dinner," she said. The lieutenant nodded and went to warn everyone. Dinner was a normal affair. The meat was fresh and healthy, just hunted. The vegetables were bought at a greengrocer, but since they were nomads they couldn't get them any other way but stealing from farms, something they wouldn't do anyway. "My hunters. My daughters." That declaration made the hunters smile. She smiled back. It felt good for her too whenever she said it out loud. "I have something important to tell you, but first I must remind you of some facts so it does not come as such a surprise." That made them look at her with worry. "Now, what do you know about demigods?" "They are the mortal children of gods with mortals, mostly had just for lust. Athena, as a chaste goddess like yourself, makes hers through her mind abilities with those she fancies," Zoe replied. "And they think that just because they have a god as a parent, they are supposed to be special and be treated as such," said another hunter, one who despite her words is actually a demigod. Or maybe because of being one she could say her words. She knew that her hunters had had bad experiences at Camp Half-Blood whenever she left them there, but it seemed the dislike ran deeper than she thought. "Now, do you remember my domains? You are the goddess of the hunt, the moon, chastity, animals and the wilderness, my lady." "There is one missing," Artemis pointed out. "The most important for that conversation." "Oh, and childbirth. Sorry my lad." Noticing that Artemis brought special attention to that, especially after mentioning demigods, made Zoe go pale. Looking around, it was clear the others figured it out too. How long at the due date, she was struggling to ask. Artemis took pity on her, despite her faces being humorous. "It was 13 years ago. Well, I visited another world in a hunt." She could see the hunter with her for that long remembering that time and confusion set in their minds. "My lady, you were not there for long enough for carrying a pregnancy how?" "I took a page from Athena's book, in a way. Worry not, I am still chaste." The hunters looked clearly relieved. While there, I met a woman, a warrior who was wounded in her womb and was almost impossible for her to have a child. I did not know it was possible, but at her request, I blessed her womb to make her fertile. I recently went back there and met her son and confirmed that he is, in a way, also mine. My first demigod. The hunters were silent, but she could see they were envious of Naruto. Some were actually hostile, having had bad experiences with males. His parents were killed in a disaster, a mighty beast attacked the land the very day of his birth and he was made a sacrifice to stop it, having it sealed inside his body. But mortals can be stupid and most avoided him in fear of the beast escaping or taking over. He was ignored or treated coldly in order to push him away from them and thus he grew up wanting recognition. He became a soldier for his land, dreaming of rising up the ranks and become the leader of them and be respected. She could feel pity from the hunters, but also resignation on him being like other demigods. Until one fateful meeting with an opponent where they shared their views and he was taught not to work for the sake of recognition, but to fight to protect those who already recognized him. The dream was the same, to become the leader of his village, but his motivation changed. She saw some hunters held relief, but most of them held doubt. When I left you some time ago, I was visiting him. He was in the hospital for injuries gained trying to rescue a teammate he saw as a brother, but that in the end turned traitor for the sake of gaining power. Again, some of them held pity, a few, the younger, seemed even to be holding back tears. For most of them though, it was an impersonal story. Even if it was a relative of hers, they didn't know Naruto themselves after all, and she had to admit her storytelling is not her forte. I explained to him that I was a kind of third parent to him and that he inherited some of my divine abilities. We spent some time together learning about each other since we were somewhere outside the Olympian reach and thus not held back by the ancient laws and I convinced him to come to Camp Half-Blood to learn about the abilities he got from me. She took a deep breath and sighed. I am not asking you to accept him outright. I am just asking to try to be as open as you can to the possibility of developing a friendship. I believe that in time he may prove himself and you will also see him as part of our family. My lady, asked Phoebe, does that mean he may join the hunt? Artemis knew she had always been distrustful of Orion. But she also had no problem with Hippolytos as far as she knew, so maybe the problem was Orion himself. No. He has a wish to one day have a family, since he was an orphan. To become a hunter, even a male one, he would need to swear to remain chaste, something that would stop him from doing so. Phoebe nods, and the hunters join to have a conversation. Artemis waits patiently, already knowing what they had decided. A small malicious smile enters her face as she hears their decision being just as she expected. She spent too much time with Naruto to be reacting like that. So, what did you girls talk about, she asks, changing her smile a bit to make it look benevolent. My lady, Zoe says, we will give him a chance on your word, but we would like to know him and test him before he is accepted fully. I see nothing wrong with that. Do be careful though, this is just a test after all. Let us be careful not to hurt anyone. Especially yourselves. Alright, I need you to buy some time. The caravaneer said, eyeing Naruto with his hat. Shower in it with cannonballs should give it something to think about. Naruto got the idea and went to the back of the ship to get a heavy ball to put in the cannon on the side with the dragon. I'm counting on ya. Percy was the second to last to be on guard, the first being Grover, who couldn't sleep that soon after taking the energy drink Naruto made, and the second being Naruto. They were sleeping in a 4-person tent Naruto had, but not on the wild, but inside Medusa's lair. Naruto's reasoning was that there they had resources and most of the entrances were visible. The other possible entrances, someone barreling through the wall, would mean whatever it was wouldn't be slowed down much by trees anyway. He had just woken Annabeth up and was going to sleep when Annabeth held his wrist. Wake Grover up while I grab as much as we can take. And be silent. What's wrong? And what about Naruto? It's because of Naruto that we have to be silent. It is near daytime, his powers must be weaker during it since we only saw him use them at night. If we want to ditch him, it has to be now. Percy holds back on yelling it in surprise, ditch him? Why would we do that? Did you forget your own prophecy? Annabeth asked, exasperated. Only 3 will return in glory, the flame that thrives in the darkness, shall face that darkness gives turn to elder light, a betrayal from a friend only 3 of us will succeed, 1 of us will betray the others, he is clearly the flame that thrives in the darkness, and the sun is probably the elder light. I am saying I think Naruto must be the one going to betray us. Great job Hunter. But we're almost at Valhaber. It's time to pull out all the stops. Morin's got sensitive ears, it's how they monitor the surface when they're in the sand. Loud noises give 'em fits. I don't think I can scream that loud. No, let it get as close as possible, then ring the hunting gong on the ship's deck. That ought to send it reeling. Thing is, I need a little more time to get the gong ready. Got it. Keep distracting it. No, try to keep near the gong switch, and when I give the sign get ready to give that holler a wallop. Oh okay. Naruto grabbed a nearby pickaxe. Not long after, the elder dragon started trying to jump over the ship. Now. Naruto did not have to be told twice. The gong made the monster throw itself away. Soon, he heard a second, far away but louder gong. 4 other ships heard it and started attacking the Darumorin. Naruto's eyes opened as soon as the door closed. He could understand being the suspect, but it still hurt a bit. Grover and her seemed to know each other for years. Percy and Grover were friends even before Percy knew he was a demigod. And Percy, why would he betray his own quest? But if she was right and there was going to be a betrayal, he was the most likely candidate. An outsider, trained to keep secrets and lie, even if bad at it. That already kept hidden being Timmy's relative. Besides, the prophecy said only 3 would return with glory and later said there would be a betrayal. He didn't believe in them much and would do his best to avoid the worst parts, but for someone that did believe in them, it made sense thinking the traitor was one of the 4. She was the daughter of the goddess of wisdom. Of course she had a point. But. Wait, Athena was not just the goddess of wisdom, was her? He was already going to follow them under a henge from a distance. If he was right he needed to be much closer. Percy looked behind again. He was feeling guilty for what they did. Naruto was nothing but helpful. Damn, he seemed to be smarter than Annabeth herself sometimes. To try to feel better, he tried to talk with Grover, who also seemed in a bad mood. Their talk went from the state of the pollution in the world to Grover's wish to search for Pan like his relatives before him, then about what Annabeth told Grover about her conclusions with Naruto. Hearing about Annabeth and Naruto gave him a weird feeling. On one night they were talking about their suspicions, as if they were friends, and the next one made them leave the other behind. I know, I don't like it either, Grover said. As far as we know, this could be the betrayal the prophecy was talking about. I mean, it is kind of a big one, abandoning someone. But if it isn't, I have to agree with Annabeth. I know her for years, and I know you too. He is the only one I can suspect. Stupid prophecy. Grover tensed, and Percy thought he would say something about disrespecting prophecies. But then he saw what Grover did. The walking pink stuffed animal was approaching them. Naruto did not know the range of the satyr's emotion sensing and tensed when he saw Grover did. He had thought he either was out of range or Grover was ignoring him on purpose. Then he saw the talking poodle and released his breath. Quietly. Who calls their dog Gradiola though? The others delivered the poodle. Naruto was envious, his experience with Tora were the stuff of nightmares, and took a train. He didn't know how precise the emotion sensing of the satyr was, but in a full train it wouldn't be as precise as usual, so he just transformed into a grumpy older teenager, bought a ticket and sat nearby them, but not exactly with them. He didn't attract their attention once as far as he knew, but noticed Percy seemed a bit paranoid and restless. He couldn't say if it was for monsters, Naruto himself or the fact he was in the newspaper though. And from the conversation he overheard about his dream, whoever it was in them, 1 was not Hades, and 2 did not have the bolt but wanted it to get free. Or both it and getting free. Annabeth didn't seem to trust Hades either way, though. She seemed like pushing them to think it was really him at fault despite all points in the other way. Naruto suspected that either she had bad experiences with him or. He then heard about her life. It seemed like all she had still were her mother and a couple of friends. His suspicions just got stronger. They soon left the train, going to see an arch. He once more stood away hearing their conversations. Seemed like Hades had a helmet that lets him not only become invisible, but become darkness itself. Another darkness illusion, And it was in the same reunion Annabeth and the others went to, the one when the bolt disappeared. Percy always felt bad in confined spaces. Being in a tiny elevator that made curves, with Annabeth, Grover, and an unknown middle-aged businessman that looked at them from the sides as if they were idiots, did not help. Getting to the top made Percy even more nervous, but he followed the other 2 until the announcement that the observation deck was closing. There was no room for him to get down, though, since there were already 2 other people there, so he was stuck in the top with a middle-aged man that seemed even more frustrated, a fat lady with a chihuahua and a little boy with his parents. Then, before he could even understand what was going on, there was a pain in his ear. The businessman had pulled it to his side and began speaking in it in an annoyed voice. You idiots. I leave you alone for a while, and not only you come to somewhere high up while you father is arguing with the god of the skies, you let them leave you alone. What if I was a monster? Then Naruto. You're lucky it is me. Damn it, is that how Ruka-sensei and Kakashi-sensei feels when I'm being an idiot? I really need to apologize to them. Is there something wrong here? The park ranger asked. My nephew here thought he could escape his grounding by tricking me to bring him and his friends here. I waited until they left to give him an earful. Oh, I see, the ranger said, leaving them alone. Naruto let go of Percy's ear and looked around, getting a smile from the fat lady. her forked tongue flickering between her teeth. Damn it Percy, pen. Her chihuahua jumped down from her lap, barking at the two. Now, Sonny. Does this look like a good time? We have all these nice people here, the lady said. The boy got happy at seeing the dog, but the parents pulled the boy back since it was foaming from the mouth. Well, son, if you insist. Naruto had no idea who they could be, but knew that was bad news. You know, giving your son everything he wants whenever he wants is not what I can call the best parenting. Wait, Percy asked, are you saying that Chihuahua is her son? Chimera, dear, the lady corrected. Not a Chihuahua. It's an easy mistake to make. Disguise, Percy, Naruto said, as the dog grew. They are not human. Or dog. The pen. Now. Percy did so, pulling out the cap with trembling hands, while Naruto returned to his real form with his glaive in hands. A different one from the one he used in the capture the flag, with two fang-like blades instead of one. The chimera was now so tall its back rubbed against the roof. It had the head of a lion with a blood-caked mane, the body and hooves of a giant goat, and a serpent for a tail. The dog collar still hung around its neck, and the plate-sized dog tag was now easy to read. Chimera rabid, fire-breathing, poisonous if found, please call Tartarus Ext. 954. The mother made a hissing noise, and the two now noticed she looked much more like a snake hybrid. The honored Percy Jackson. Lord Zeus rarely allows me to test a hero with one of my brood. For I am the mother of monsters, the terrible echidna. Isn't it a kind of anteater? Percy could only ask. Actually it eats ants, but is not related to them, Naruto replied, being closer to the platypus due to laying eggs. How the hell do I know that? She howled in rage. I hate it when people say that. I hate Australia. Naming that ridiculous animal after me. Especially as you are a mother and it is famous for its four-headed. Boy. There is a child present. Oh. Sorry. Meanwhile, the chimera charged Percy, who jumped to the side and opened a gash on its side. So since this is just a test, that means that your son is not trying to kill him for real, right? Oh, no. If he is to be a real hero he is going to win. If not, why let him live in disgrace? The chimera launched a column of fire, opening a hole in the side of the arch. I'm a big believer in that people can improve themselves after a failure, so I'll have to help Percy in this one. I'm sorry, but I can't let you do that. Well, then I guess we will have to fight too. Yes, I guess we will. That said, Naruto put his glaive on the ground and jumped backwards in Percy's direction. I have someone to save. I have no time to fight you. Are you running away? Coward. Echidna screamed as she ran after Naruto. The gods will know of your cowardice. So be it. I have more important things to care about than their opinion. Naruto then used the glaive as a pole vault to jump over Chimera's tail and stab it in the left eye. The beast growled in pain and Percy tried to take advantage of it and cut its head off like he did with Medusa. Keyword. Tried. The blade bounced on the collar, leaving him open. Naruto tried hitting the tail as it lashed on the other boy, opening the gash in the chimera's tight, but the head was still able to bite Percy before the tail was cut off. Damn it. Naruto screamed in frustration. Percy was probably poisoned. Then he eyed the hole in the wall. Percy, the river. You can heal in the water. What? Percy yelled in surprise, clearly in pain. He looked at the river, then at Naruto and the normal people still there. If you are the son of Poseidon, Echidna hissed, you would not fear water. Jump, Percy Jackson. Show me that water will not harm you. Jump and heal. Prove your bloodline. Don't worry Percy. I'll buy time for them. Naruto screamed as he made 4 clones who went to protect the normal people. Yet, Percy held himself back. You have no faith, Echidna said. You do not trust the gods. You do not trust you comrade. I cannot blame you, little coward. Better you die now. The gods are faithless. The poison is in your heart. Bref Percy, I'm throwing you. Naruto made a 5th clone and it ran as fast as it could, ramming Percy and throwing them both outside the arch and into the water. Well that's that, Echidna said, returning to the form of a fat lady and Chimera returning to the form of a chihuahua. You can keep the tail if you want. Wait, what? Our mission was to test Percy Jackson. I must say, he is still inexperienced, but I can see some potential. You on the other hand got the experience. You could win if we continued if it was just Chimera. Are you saying it is over? For now. Maybe we will meet again. Echidna left with Chimera and the confused family. Not wanting to wait for the next ride, Naruto went down by walking on the wall outside. Percy told Grover and Annabeth the whole story. How Naruto was the middle-aged businessman. How the lady and her dog turned into monsters. How Naruto threw him from the arch saying the water would heal him and was left alone with them. The message from the water lady telling him to go to Santa Monica. Wow. We've got to get you to Santa Monica. You can't ignore a summon from your dad, said Grover. Wait Grover, Naruto was there. Annabeth said, pulling the two boys away from the middle of the street. Yeah, and he helped us, Percy said. Well, me. But how did he find us? She then felt a hand in her left shoulder and turned around slowly, dreading what she would find. Since when were you under the impression, asked a smirking Naruto, that I wasn't with you? Annabeth opened her mouth to answer, but Naruto didn't let her speak. No time. The train is leaving soon, we can talk on the way to Denver. He then went past them, as if expecting to be followed. With no other idea of what to do, the others did so. Annabeth looked around awkwardly as Naruto watched the view outside the train. She opened her mouth to talk, but Naruto beat her to it. You know, I always knew I wasn't going to be well received right away. I always had to prove myself before being respected, why would it change now? Add to that I'm related to Artemis, whose hunters don't get along with the people at the camp, and I'd have some work to do. I thought this quest would be the perfect chance to make some friends. I mean, what brings people together more than spending time together working for the same thing? He looked down, moving his hand through his hair. I wasn't expecting much from the start. I was expecting to be pushed aside and ignored, maybe treated as a load on the way. I'd been there already. I never expected to just be discarded like that though. Annabeth was persuasive, Percy admitted. I know I should have trusted you more, but… I heard what she said. She said that I would be the traitor. Because that is how she interpreted the prophecy, because I am an outsider of the camp you just met and had been hiding who I really was, because Grover knows the both of you and can vouch for the other. And I must say, it makes sense. But there are a few problems. I have no reason to steal the Master Bolt or to keep it hidden. I had no opportunity to do so. And I have helped you even after you left me behind, instead of letting or helping you guys fail. The other three dropped their heads, ashamed. Well, until his next words. Annabeth, on the other hand. What? She said loudly, looking at him with wide eyes. Well, let's begin with establishing your character. You tried to use me and Percy at the capture the flag game to let Luke win. Even Percy noticed that. Hey. The game you play every week as far as I could tell. And you used us as bait, leaving us to be beaten just so your crush could have the glory. Didn't even tell us, just tried manipulation outright. Annabeth looked away, avoiding their eyes. Then, you had the opportunity to be the one to steal the bolt. You were there during the meeting of the gods when it disappeared. You are friends with the son of Hermes, the god of thievery. You can turn invisible. You have a motive. Make your mother proud. Stealing the bolt would in no way make her proud. Annabeth answered angrily. It wouldn't. Remember when I said I would suspect Aries due to him being the god of war? Well, so is Athena, but of a more planned kind of war. A war to put others against each other would be in her domain, would it not? Would a war between Zeus and Poseidon not make her stronger? She is the daughter of Zeus and Metis, whose son was supposed to surpass him. And oh, look who is blamed for the disappearance, her rival. My mother would never do that. We have as much going for her as we have for Hades, maybe more. After all, you see, before Chiron mentioned they worked for Hades, all I read said the Furies were spirits of vengeance, until Athena convinced them of being for justice. So, if we take them as the main clue of who did it, it points not just to Hades like you claim, but also to… Annabeth had nothing to say. She was pale, and her eyes had unshed tears. So you see, if we base ourselves just on logic, it all points to our traitor being Grover. Grover and Percy nodded sadly, before they noticed what he said and looked at him, eyes wide. What? Why would I do that? The war between those two gods would most likely annihilate humanity, freeing nature and allowing Pan to return. But that's not what makes you the main suspect. What does is that the not only me and Annabeth are suspect, which means it would be expected, betrayal will come from a friend. Percy barely knows her to call her a friend, and since he left me behind it means he doesn't see me as one either. Naruto, Percy began, saddened, but the other boy wasn't finished. And that is if we believe that Percy told us the whole prophecy. As far as we know, he may really be the thief and told us a false one to waste our time. He finally finished, taking a soda from Auntie M's from his scroll and opening it. So you see, accusing each other because of an ambiguous prophecy makes no sense. Keep your eyes open for anything suspicious, but don't jump on each other. This quest needs teamwork. It needs trust. Or as close to it we can give each other from now on. I'd say I can trust you as far as I can throw you, but to tell the truth I can throw you guys pretty far if I want to. Naruto, No, Percy. You guys made it clear enough by abandoning me like that. You see me as trash, something to be thrown aside when I'm not useful. Well, guess what? I was taught one thing. I may be trash, but those who abandon their teammates are lower than trash. You guys really pissed me off, and I won't trust you as much as before for a while. Especially Annabeth. But I will be here when you need me. There are innocent people who will suffer if we fail, after all. That said, he turned around and closed his eyes, leaving a silent trio thinking about his words. The next day they arrived in Denver, having had some of the food Naruto brought from Auntie M's for breakfast, not the most healthy, for sure, but at least filling. True to his word, Naruto followed them, but was silent as if he was a stranger. That made the others as depressed as when they left him, being used to his cheerfulness. Let's try to contact Chiron, I want to tell him about your talk with the river spirit, Annabeth said to Percy. What for? Naruto asked. Isn't Santa Monica already in Los Angeles or something? It won't be exactly a detour. Besides, it is Percy's message. Annabeth turned as if to say something, then thought better and took a deep breath. You're right. There is no reason to call there. I guess I just felt a bit homesick and wanted an excuse to call. How? Percy asked. There are no phones there, are there? Something about we can't use them. They increase our scent, attracting the monsters. We will use Iris message instead. The rainbow goddess Iris carries messages for the gods. If you know how to ask and she's not too busy, she'll do the same for half-bloods, she explained. We just need a source of rainbow and a drachma. They wandered until they found an empty do-it-yourself car wash and went to the stall farthest from the street. Naruto stood as a guard while the rest grabbed the coins and the drachma. It seemed like it was the last one they kept from Auntie M's. While they talked to Luke, a car stopped in the next stall, sounds blazing. Naruto quickly sent a clone to take care of it. It wasn't long before the others could hear each other again, but also some weird talk. A voice sounding like a female Naruto was talking to a bunch of older guys. So, what did you want, cutie? One of the male voices said. They could hear his lust in his voice. Oh, I just wanted someone to notice me, said the female Naruto. Ever since my boyfriend killed me no one even talked to me, but since you guys noticed me that means I can haunt this place properly now. Thank you. Haha, good joke, but there's no way you are a. Dude, did she just disappear? Said a second male voice. LL, let's get out of here. I'm not sure I want to understand what just happened, said Luke. Anyway, sorry, but Chiron had to break up a fight. Things are tense here, they somehow figured out about the Zeus-Poseidon standoff. Now people are taking sides. It's looking like the Trojan Wars all over again. Don't worry, it won't come to a war. We are bringing that bolt back soon, Naruto said. I hope so. So, what's the status? Chiron will be sorry he missed you. Percy told him everything but leaving Naruto behind and that Grover was the one with his boots, including his weird dreams. The beeper sounded, they had only a minute. I agree that it seems weird, but it has to have been Hades. He got the Helm of Darkness and was there during the winter solstice. The only way to sneak into the throne room to take the Master Bolt would be by being invisible. Or very sneaky, Naruto added. No, I doubt even Father himself could have pulled it off. He then noticed Annabeth becoming pale. Oh Annabeth, I didn't mean you. You're like a little sister to me, I would never accuse you. Thank you Luke, she said, but seemed a bit down because of his answer. Hey Percy, are you wearing the flying shoes? I'll feel better if I know they've done you some good. Don't worry, they helped a lot when we fought Medusa, Naruto replied. Really? They fit and everything? Luke asked with a grin. That was when the water shut off and the mist started to evaporate. Well, take care of yourself out there in Denver. And Grover, it'll be better this time. Nobody will get turned into a pine tree if you just. The mist was gone and Luke's image faded to nothing. Why did he mention the pine tree? Naruto asked, annoyed. Grover shuffled his feet, clearly uncomfortable. It's because the pine tree. No, I know the gist of the story and I think I got the rest, but why did he mention it right now? No one could answer. In fact, no one in the know could get it, why would Luke mention it? Naruto was not sure, but he felt like he forgot something. Naruto insisted they go to a restaurant instead of eating their supplies. The thing about asking others to make the food to go while you set the tent is that you can't make sure they aren't burning everything. It is alright to eat extra crispy when you have no other choice, but if he is eating a proper meal. Asking to eat some of his meat and energy drink was answered with just a look ever since they regrouped, so they didn't anymore. They sat and waited. Finally, after a while, a waitress came over, eyebrow raised. Well? She asked. Naruto answered by raising his own. We want the menu. We are new in town, so we don't know what is served here. You kids have money to pay? Not sure, depends on your prices. If they are too high only the other three will be able to eat. Do you serve vegetarian? Before the waitress could answer, a big roar filled the place. Looking outside, a big motorcycle could be seen and fittingly a big rider was dismounting. When he walked in, they could feel a hot dry wind and everyone but Naruto stood up like on instinct, but the biker waved his hand and they sat down as if it never happened. It's on me, the biker said. Naruto was confused, but as he approached he went to the other side, leaving open the space beside Annabeth. The biker looked at the waitress and said, are you still here? At which point she left. Don't forget, Grover's is vegetarian. Naruto said to the retreating woman. Naruto then looked at the man. Really looked. He felt the bloodthirstiness, the desire to start a fight. He wanted to stand up and start beating the guy. He felt like he was being mocked. Like when he first met Tsunade and she mocked his very dream of being Hokage. Yet the man did not do anything. He just had this aura of enmity. He stopped being angry like in a brawl and started thinking like in a battle. Analyzing his opponent. His time as a hunter taught him not to go in battle weapons first. The constant. A fight, a battle. So, I take it you are Aries. The god of war and fighting. Aries smiled. Well, smirked. I like your reaction, kid. Your eyes show no fear and no anger past a point. They show experience in battle. Thank you. You are more of a pragmatic fighter though, even if you aren't anywhere else. This is more the bookworm's field, but I can still respect that, he said, pointing at Annabeth with his thumb, making it clear he was talking about her mother. Naruto nodded. But the reason I'm here. I heard you kids were in town. I got a little proposition for you. At that point the waitress arrived with some trays filled with food, including Grover's vegetarian burger. Aries paid with some drachmas and pulled a knife when she seemed like she was going to complain. You can't do that. You can't just threaten people with a knife, Percy complained. Aries just laughed. Are you kidding? I love this country. Best place in Sparta. Don't you carry a weapon, punk? You should. He certainly does, he pointed at Naruto. Dangerous world out there. Which brings me to my proposition. I need you to do me a favor. What favor could I do for a god? Percy asked. Probably something unrelated to his domains, Naruto answered. And something a god doesn't have time to do himself, Aries replied. It's nothing much. I left my shield at an abandoned water park here in town. I was going on a little date with my girlfriend. We were interrupted. I left my shield behind. I want you to fetch it for me. Why don't you go back and get it yourself? Percy asked, confrontational. Aries lowered his glasses, looking at Percy through intense flames on the sockets. Why don't I turn you into a prairie dog and run you over with my Harley? Because I don't feel like it. A god is giving you an opportunity to prove yourself, Percy Jackson. Will you prove yourself a coward? Or maybe you only fight when there's a river to dive into so your daddy can protect you. Naruto could tell Percy was getting angry. To tell the truth, so was he, but he had more experience dealing with this. It would take more than that to make him lose his head in battle. Then he blinked. He wasn't in a battle. I have no need to prove myself, he said, looking at Aries. What do I gain from it? Naruto. Percy complained. We are not interested, he told Aries. We already got a quest. I know all about your quest, punk. When that item was first stolen, Zeus sent his best out looking for it. Apollo, Athena, Artemis, and me, naturally. If I couldn't sniff out a weapon that powerful, well, if I couldn't find it, you got no hope. Nevertheless, I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. Your dad and I go way back. After all, I'm the one who told him my suspicions about old corpse breath. You told him Hades stole the bolt? Percy asked. Sure. Framing somebody to start a war. Oldest trick in the book. I recognized it immediately. Naruto filed it for future reference. In a way, you got me to thank for your little quest. Thanks, Percy grumbled. Hey, I'm a generous guy. Just do my little job and I'll help you on your way. I'll arrange a ride west for you and your friends. We're doing fine on our own. No, we are not. Naruto. Which side are you on? The one that ends this quest earlier. Face it, Percy, even if you dislike Aries for obvious reasons. Watch it. You make people dislike you for fun, Naruto deadpanned. Using your powers. Ah, yes. That I do. And you, Jackson. No money. No wheels. No clue what you're up against. Help me out and maybe I'll tell you something you need to know. Something about your mom. My mom? Percy asked, surprised. That got your attention. The water park is a mile west on Delancey. You can't miss it. Look for the Tunnel of Love ride. Anything special about the shield besides being yours? Naruto asked. It is made of celestial bronze. And it is my favorite. What interrupted the date? Any chance it is still there? Nothing you need to worry about. It was a personal thing. Alright then, Naruto nodded and stood up. I'm going right now. You guys finish your food. The sooner we get the shield, the better. You're going alone? Annabeth asked, worry in her voice. Yup. Naruto then made a clone to stay with them and left. Percy blinked and suddenly there were only the four of them there. Well, if you count the clone. Not good, Grover said. Aries sought you out, Percy. This is not good. It's probably some kind of trick, Percy said. We should go help Naruto. Nah, don't worry. Boss got it covered, the clone said. Besides, he is fast when he wants to be. By the time you get there he would probably be back already. But this water park Aries acted almost scared. What would make a war god run away like that? Annabeth and Grover glanced nervously at each other. Probably something humiliating or something else that can't just be smashed out of the way, the clone just shrugged. Don't worry, boss may be more of a hands-on guy, but he can think when needed. Naruto found the water park quickly. He just jumped over the main gate. It was liberating, really, being on a mission alone. He could see it could start feeling lonely quickly though. Once inside, he made some clones and they separated to look for the tunnel of love. It didn't take long to find it, or at least a tunnel related to love. An empty pool, a big one, with a tunnel on the opposite side to the entrance and a dozen Cupid bronze statues around. A sign read "Thrill Ride O Love. This is not your parents' tunnel of love." On the bottom, a pink and white boat. And on the boat, a circle of bronze. Aries' shield. "This is too easy," Naruto said and sent a clone to get the shield. "There's a scarf here too," the clone said. "And the shield is surrounded by wire." "I knew it," Naruto complained. "Bring the scarf, it must be Aphrodite's. Let's make a plan to take the shield." In the end, Naruto's plan was to just brute force it. He made a clone to free the shield and kept a clone beside him. As soon as the strings were broken, the clone Kawaramid with the shield, leaving the shield with Naruto and two clones down the tunnel. Sounds of gears filled the tunnel and the Cupids threw arrows across the pool, making a golden net. The Cupid heads popped open, turning into video cameras, and a message saying transmission would begin in a minute and counting began. Small metallic spiders started trying to tie the clones down, so they dispelled. Pity, he already had an idea on how to turn this around and make a joke that would be famous on all Olympus. Naruto arrived back with a shield and 3 backpacks with clothes and other souvenirs. He threw a backpack to each of them. "Look, before you say something, they were obviously being left to rot and you guys really need a change of clothes." The 3 nodded and changed them in the restroom. Aries was waiting for them outside. Naruto quickly threw him the shield. Aries spun it in the air like a pizza and it became a bulletproof vest. Naruto had no idea what that was though, just that it seemed like a Jonin vest. "See that truck over there?" He pointed. "That's your ride. Take you straight to LA, with one stop in Vegas." The truck had a sign on the back that said Kindness International. Humane Zoo Transport. Warning. Live animals. "You're kidding," Percy said. "We have no other choice but walk there right now," Naruto reminded him. Aries snapped his fingers and the back door of the truck unlatched. He then threw a blue bag to Percy. Inside there was some money, drachmas, clothes and a bag of Oreos. "A little extra for doing the job so quickly." "Thank you," Naruto said, as levelly as possible. "Wait," Percy said, before Aries could leave. "You promised me information about my mother. You sure you can handle the news?" he asked as he started the motorcycle. "She's not dead." "What do you mean?" Percy asked, looking lost. "I mean she was taken away from the Minotaur before she could die. She was turned into a shower of gold, right? That's metamorphosis. Not death. She's being kept." "Kept? Why?" "Depending on who it was could have a number of reasons," Naruto said. "It could be the culprit for the theft and will use it to make you stop the quest. It could be Zeus to make sure you will bring the bolt back. It could even be your father to save her." "Thank you, Aries. We will take our leave now." "You're no fun, kiddo," the god said before going away on his motorcycle. "I really don't like that guy," Naruto said to himself as he went across to the back of his truck. "Didn't seem like that. Annabeth and Grover were afraid of him and he was making me angry, but you seemed like you were talking about the weather," Percy answered. "It's because I learned the hard way how to hold back my anger and focus my thoughts. If you let hatred, sadness and loneliness take you over, they win." "Who are they?" asked Annabeth. Naruto said nothing, opening the back door. The stench inside the truck was terrible. The condition of the animals was worse. The herbivores were clearly messed with gums on the zebra's mane and a balloon tied to the antelope, and the lion did not look healthy. The fact their fur was inverse did not help matters. Naruto ignored the others as he unlocked the cages, including the lions. Percy was quick to take the meat from the other two, but seemed scared of the lion, so Naruto put the sack on his hands while a clone took the meat already there. The boy doing his best not to fall as he carried the food to the others while Grove filled their jugs with water, put a smile on his face, but it was a small light in the darkness of the situation. According to the animals, those transporters were actually criminals. Animal smugglers. He wondered if Aries knew and if he was being used to take them to justice or being tempted to look the other way for the mission. "Holy shit, I can understand the animals." "What?" said Percy and Annabeth, surprised. "It's no big deal," Grover said. "Maybe to you, but I didn't used to be able to." "Your godmom?" Grover asked and Naruto nodded. "Your godmom is also the goddess of the animals. It was going to happen sooner or later." So Percy asked, does this means I'm not going crazy and I'm hearing the zebra? Annabeth opened the Oreos and shared with everyone. Even Naruto sat down with them and started eating. About the Iris message Naruto started, remember how Luke changed the conversation about the story of Thalia? How much do you know about it? Asked Percy. About the same as you, I guess. The pine tree is Thalia, daughter of Zeus, sacrificed herself to let a satyr, that from that what Luke said I guess is Grover, and two demigods, that I bet are Annabeth and Luke, reached the camp in safety. She was almost killed by monsters, but her father turned her into a sacred tree to save her life, and her sacrifice is powering a barrier that protects the camp. But that's not what I was talking about. Remember what we were talking about before he said that? He said that you needed to be invisible to steal the Master Bolt, Annabeth answered. And then said that he didn't think it was me, that it had to be Hades, but gods can't steal the other's symbol of power directly so. So in other words he said whoever did that was using one of the two invisible hats that were there. And if it wasn't Annabeth, and it couldn't be Hades. Do you think someone would be stupid enough to steal the Helm of Darkness? Annabeth asked, wide-eyed. It makes sense. We agreed that the Furies were looking for something, and if Hades stole the bolt it wouldn't be looking for it. He would have no reason to send for Percy for it. But, if he was looking for something else. The prophecy said Percy would retrieve what was stolen, Annabeth remembered. It said nothing about what it was, or even how many items were. But then. We aren't going to Los Angeles to take the bolt back from Hades, Percy understood. We are going there to recover the helm for him. We cannot be sure, said Naruto, but it seems so. Oh great. We are already on a time limit and now our main suspect may be another victim, Percy moaned. To be fair, I have been saying he isn't as high on the list from the beginning. That's not the point, Naruto, Annabeth sighed. We have only a week now and you just destroyed what we have been working with all this time. Where will we find the bolt and the helm now? Okay, two things. It was just a thought, we don't know yet if the helm is really gone. And, about where the bolt is, you guys are forgetting that is what we are on a quest to find out. That doesn't help much, said Percy. Aries said that the best trackers in Olympus failed to find it. Look, we always knew it may not have been Hades. Just because he is the Lord of the Dead does not make him evil. We came to the west not because he was here, but because it was our clue. You just added the clue to what you already expected and got Hades. Now we are just adding the clues again and getting closer to the true answer. But it is not the answer yet. We keep going. We keep paying attention. We find the truth the hard way. The other three nodded, determination in his eyes. I think this is yours, Naruto said, giving the hat back. The caravaneer happily accepted it and from it pulled something. Something that glittered like gold under the sunlight but seemed much harder and rarer. What's this? He asked, fascinated. That, my friend, is what I am in a quest to find out. What if Artemis was the godmother of Naruto? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.